Yeah. Okay, now you're live.
Yeah, now we're live.
So what is this recording then? Do we know?
It just creates
I have no idea
it just creates a local recording on Satya's local drive.
So we don't need that, right?
No, we don't need that.
Or do we need it? So should I be pausing that? I have no idea what I'm doing.
Unless
just
someone
leave
gets so offended that they sue us and then they need proof that we didn't say what he or she thought we said.
Okay, we'll leave it on, I guess. All right, so we are on, or we're
Yes,
ready to go?
We are on. Yep, we're on and we are good to go. So good evening, hello and welcome everyone to today's edition of DCL Prime Time. We had yet another weekend of some exciting games that lived up to their billing, some teams that did not live up to their billing and caused a bit of heartache to the analysts that predicted that the games might go one way or the other, and some absolute one-sided ones. And to bring them all to you this week, as always, I have joining me Partha Mehta and Viju Zakaria. Satya, unfortunately, is not available to join us today due to work commitments. However, we hope to have some spicy discussions, as always, along with some of the captains that we've invited to kindly join us on the show tonight. First up, as always, we will start off with the analysis of the previous week's games. And of them, there were games galore because of some rained out games also being played this past weekend, resulting in some of the teams having back-to-back games, and we'll see how all of them fared. So over to you, Parthiv.
All right. Yes, as you said, we had a lot of games to cover, so we're going to do justice to all the games. But if we skip few games, we do not. Oh, I still see a delay, but that's okay. We can keep going. So I think the first game we're going to go in the order in which the results are displayed on the on our Cricket Club's website. I'm sharing my screen so that you guys can follow. The first game we have is the AR Phantoms Rising Stars. And Rising Stars, after all that we've given them, they finally broken through. They finally got a win, and a comprehensive win for that matter. Even though the scorecard shows 48 for 5, I think I was playing right next door to them. Once they capitulated AR Phantoms 47, it was a foregone conclusion. I don't think there was any person in DCL who had any doubts whether who's going to be winning. AR Phantoms are still learning, through the learning curve. They are a good team, good spirited team, but Rising Stars have that experience of playing in DCL. But considering that Rising Stars have been in DCL for so long, their performance still, if you look at the season, throughout the season, hasn't been up to par. But a win nevertheless for Rising Stars. So that's pretty much what I would like to say.
Yeah, Parthiv, what I feel is this game, there's nothing much to discuss. Again, this was for the Emperor of the Basement title, but even if Rising Stars had lost this game, I doubt AR Phantoms were going to be able to pass on their Emperor of Basement crown on to Rising Stars. But anyways, Rising Stars won it, so that pretty much seals it. And unless a miracle happens, I don't see how AR Phantoms are going to avoid the Emperor of the Basement crown. So pretty much at the halfway stage, or slightly after the halfway stage, we have to say that the AR Phantoms are in the pole position for getting the title for Emperor of Basement. Other than that, I really don't think there's much to discuss on this game. We have lots of games to discuss, so we'll keep moving.
Absolutely. The next game was a very close one. FCC Agni versus Detroit Bulls. A great chase by Detroit Bulls. At one point of time, when I was checking the scores, the Detroit Bulls were looking shaky. They were like around 40 odd for 3 or 4, chasing FCC Agni. FCC Agni has always been a good team. They've always performed well, just shy of playoff or just in playoffs. But this season has been a rocky season for them. They have lost a few games they shouldn't have lost. And, they haven't been able to recover, even though they have always put up a good score. They've had, consistent performances from Raghu Muralidhar, even though he failed this game, he's been amongst the runs. And in this game, if you see FCC Agni, 119, they actually got below par what they should have, considering the start they had. The top four batters all contributing in double digits, 20s and 20s, late 20s. But they were unable to kind of, finish on a high. So 119, even though looks a good score at the end, but they should have got much more. And from the Detroit Bulls side of things, clinical chase again, Geno James using all his experience from over all the years, well supported by Banu Prakash, again another veteran from the Detroit Bulls camp. Very patient in his 19, good support throughout, and they were able to, as you can see, the fall of wickets here. They were struggling at 4 for 41 in the 7 overs. Even though the run rate was healthy, they were struggling. But then a big partnership, got them close, and then eventually they were able to kind of overhaul with 2 overs in spare. So great win for Detroit Bulls. That gives them some glimmer of hope to be in the race for the playoffs. But it's still very, very tough for them. They have to win all the games. FCC Agni on the other side, I think their graph is kind of falling down. Viju, you're on mute.
Sorry, Parthiv. On this game, I thought FCC Agni did a fabulous start there. And again, I think they have a guy named Abhinav Manchavarapu. I don't know if you've seen him. He's a pretty stout guy, all right? And this guy, when you look at him, you don't think he can play cricket much. But you'll be amazed at the way he dives, the way he puts in the effort on the field. I was amazed. I was so amazed that I saw him in an FCC Michigan Cup game, and I told Satya, I mean, that guy is an amazing player. I mean, check and see if he is available to play for us in in one of these Michigan Cup games, because I was not sure if he was going anywhere on that particular team which he was playing. But single-handedly, you could see that he could bat very well, he could bowl very well. And you wouldn't think by looking at him that he can field much, but the way he used to throw himself trying to field balls, I was amazed at his ability. And since then, I had always had a healthy respect for him, for what he brought to the game. So I'm not surprised that he scored 27 runs. He's a pretty good batsman. Good attacking batsman, good batsman, solid batsman. And Arjun Adabla, we all know that he has been one of the mainstays for FCC Agni. Having said that, Mano Reddy has been having fabulous games throughout this season. I have never seen him play, but just looking at the scores, I can say that this guy has been performing most of the time for Agni, and it's when he doesn't perform and a couple of others don't perform that Agni doesn't put up any total. And you could see here that, the rest of the people, players did not really pull their own weight. And with regards to Arjun Adabla, he's a fabulous umpire. I'll take him any day for umpiring a game, because the guy, I have not seen him ever call a wrong game. And for them, a guy named Hitien Motikana, he picked 6 wickets in the previous game. He's been quietly having a fabulous season with the ball. But again, I think the problem for FCC Agni is there's 2 or 3 people performing, maybe 4 people performing, and then the rest of the people are not pulling their weight. But that pretty much applies for Bulls too, because again, in Bulls camp, if you look at it, Geno James is the man who has to perform. And in this particular game, he got good support from Banu Prakash Murthy. But what a fabulous game Geno James had, 42 in 55 balls. And they have a guy named Gaurav Hiremath. He opened the batting. He's actually an excellent cricket ball player. And I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago when we lost to the Bulls, I shouldn't say 3 years, maybe 4 years ago or 5 years ago. I was there at that time, and we lost to the Bulls. Gaurav Hiremath actually played a very good innings in that particular game, and Geno James had a very good game. So they also have a guy named Mahesh Babu Burulu. I've been seeing these scorecards, and I've been seeing that consistently he keeps performing with the ball. So again, if you look at it in this game, 5 overs, 14 runs, but 4 wickets, and those 4 wickets pretty much broke FCC Agni's back. So once again, a solid win for Bulls. This is a game they had to win if they had to have any remote hopes of making it to the playoffs. So they're still in the hunt, but my point is it too late? But at least they are still in the mix. We can't say that about FCC Agni. I think they are pretty much out of the mix at this point. And at this point, they are just going through the motions and they'll be finishing the season, but they will be missing the playoffs is my prediction at this point.
Awesome. Yeah, I think both of the teams are pretty require a miracle to go through the playoffs. They need to kind of keep winning and keep beating big teams. All right. The next one was a very, very lopsided affair, considering that, we were expecting Troy Hawks. We had said a lot about them. They were the 2021 team of the year in terms of improvement, but somehow this was one-off day, I would say, for Troy Hawks. I've never seen them this season capitulate so easily. As you can see, there are ducks all over the scorecard. A single digits phone number kind of scorecard. I don't know what went wrong. I was watching the game, and pretty much every single over there was a wicket. And what's great to see is Santosh Kacharada. He bowled brilliantly. I was watching him bowl, and he was just so accurate in terms of getting the ball right on the stumps, the LBWs and bowled. He was just unplayable during that morning. And Patriots, I think we've seen them kind of great performances. We've seen them ordinary performances, but they are in the hunt. They definitely are with this win. The kind of win they have, they've definitely announced that they're still in the race. And I'm still failing to understand what went wrong with Troy Hawks, unless somebody comes back and tells me they didn't have the team, they didn't have players. But I see all of them pretty much there. Nataraj is there. I see Aditya there, Vijay Kumar there. Pretty much everyone. I'm sorry, Saitota is from Patriots, but pretty much everyone was there. So it's very surprising to see Troy Hawks get beaten so easily.
Avi, if you want to jump in at any point of time, please feel free to jump in. I mean, you're most welcome to give the color if you want to give the color on any game. So on this game, I thought that you want to go ahead on this game, Avi, or you want me to do this?
I'll reserve my comments on this one. There's a few other ones that I'll probably have to jump in. So.
Okay, all right, sounds good. But on this one, I wanted to say was that the Patriots winning this game, that was not the shock. The shock was rather that Hawks lost this, and this was an absolute drubbing that they got. This was an absolute one-sided thrashing. I mean, it was the Patriots just whipped them all around the park. I mean, it was just a merciless drubbing. And out of the 35 runs, they only scored 31 runs off the bat, and it's just 15.2 overs. In other words, they scored 2 runs and over for 15.2 overs. Again, as you said, the Santosh Kanchada, he was King Kong in this game. Look at his figures, 3.2 overs, 1 maiden, 6 runs, 5 wickets. I mean, even in your dreams, most of us probably don't have that kind of figures. Holy moly is all I can say. Kanchada was King Kong in this game. He was crazy good. If you ask me, Nitin has brought Patriots right back into the playoff mix. If you look at the standings table, they are number 2 on the list, and you'll find that ever since Patriots humbled Thunders, now they are looking like the Patriots of old, which had gone to the playoffs, which had even gone past the pre-quarterfinals and had reached the quarterfinals. This lopsided win once again reaffirms the fact that the Patriots are here. And if you ask me, they are smoking hot. And last year, I remember that, in the NFL playoffs, nobody wanted to play the Tennessee Titans because they had a terrific running back in Derrick Henry. and their quarterback was playing decent. They had pretty good wide receivers. Their defense was good. Everybody was not too fond of playing the Tennessee Titans. And according to me, this year, the way the Patriots are playing now, it was not missing. It was missing a few games ago, but they seem to have righted the ship. Nitin must have done a masterful job calling a meeting or getting things right. They have got the things right. Now they are playing good cricket. And this would be a tough team to play in the first round of the playoffs for anybody. And I don't care who you are as a team. This would be a tough game. So congrats to Patriots and hard luck, Troy Hawks. Hopefully this is just a one-off game where Hawks didn't show up, but hopefully they'll show up in the remaining games.
There's only one thing I have to add. Looks like I am the only one that called this game in favor of Patriots. I don't know. This was probably...
Oh, no. I called it in favor of Patriots.
Did you? Okay. So for some reason the sheet showed otherwise. I don't know. And I was surprised.
Now look at that. Just Parthiv, go back to the previous week. You see that Patriots and where is Patriots?
This
towards the bottom.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it says that.
Okay. Then no. I was talking about the Patriots Dynamites game. All right. I and you called for Patriots. Yes, you're the only guy who called for Patriots. That's right.
Doesn't happen. So that itself makes me feel like I won that contest.
Well. Here is the great thing, Avi. Look at the standings at the bottom. All right. We have caught up. We are making this. Once upon a time, Parthiv had 11-point advantage. All right. Now that advantage has shrunk to 5 points. And I am hoping Mr. Parthiv Mehta would have the guts to go ahead and pick strikers over KRCC this week, which will allow us which will give us one more opportunity to catch up with him. But we'll get to that. But it's now a 5-point game, and it's becoming a little more meaningful. You see, Absolutely. And even Satya actually made it 61. So he has also went last week. He had the best record of all four of us.
Yeah, he got a couple of games up on us. So yeah, good for Satya there. Yeah, but anyways, carrying on. I believe next up is the big one: Gladiators versus GLCC.
Viju, why don't you start? There is someone on my door. I need to get to.
Okay.
You start and I'll continue.
Well, if you ask me, coming into this game, this was a statement game. Make no mistake about it. Both teams wanted to make a statement. Everyone in DCL was also looking forward to see who is going to end up as the king at the top of the hill after this game, because everybody knew that this is two teams who are top-notch teams who are coming in with great momentum. If you look at it, GLCC is number 1 in the net run rate for all of DCL, and Glads is number 2 in the net run rate. Coming into this, if you look at the past record, as Samish mentioned it when he came to promote the GLCC versus Glads game as the showcase game of the week, he did mention that GLCC has the record heavily in their favor. And I agreed with that. And I said that, yes, I agree that it's a lopsided record in favor of GLCC. But again, most of that record is when we didn't have the kind of players which we have now. So recently we have been trying to right that record a little bit, but even so, it's always a tough matchup. Both teams came into this game with solid momentum. GLCC, if you look at it, they had 200 plus games, including one 250 plus game. And that 253, which they scored, was the third highest total ever scored in DCL. The GLCC bowling, if you ask me, was looking fabulous because they had restricted their last 4 opponents coming into this game for 57, 57, 56 and 56, and that last 56 was against a Pokeries team, which I thought was a pretty good batting lineup there. So the Glads, bowling, batting was sleepwalking in the first 2 games, but after that, they looked very impressive against Pokeries. They looked very impressive against Rising Stars, and then against Rangers, there was hardly anything the batsman needed to do because Rangers did not put up any much of a total. Both were unbeaten. They both sported 5-0 records. Both came in with 25 points. You knew somebody had to lose this game. Right? This was a game where the 2 unbeatens were going against it. And it's like in heavyweight boxing, if you have two boxers who are unbeaten, you know, at the end of the match, there's going to be one of them who's going to have a one-loss record. And that's pretty much what was going to happen. And both teams had players, blink, and the game is gone. They both have that kind of players, and you can't afford to blink. I mean, it is, they both have really, really good players. But in this game, if you ask me, the Glad's batting was sensational. If you ask me, Taif was determined, and he was extremely rock solid in this game. And people wonder, where is the planning going? If you look at it, Taif Rahman never opened in any of the games, but come into the GLCC game, we pushed him into the opening spot. Obviously, we saw something which we felt we can take advantage of, and that's why we did send Taif to open the batting. If you ask me, Arjun was sublime, he was superb, and he was transcendent. If you ever want to see what good batting looks like, start at the 2 hours and 5 minute mark of the video which the Glads have posted on the website, and you will see at the 2 hours and 5 minute mark there is a 4 which Arjun Ajbani hits. If you ask me, that was the shot of the day. It was a 4, it was not a 6, but when I saw that shot live, my jaw was wide open. I was like, wow, did I really see that? I went back and looked at the recording, and it was a fabulous shot. But Hardeep was bombastic, he was flamboyant, and he was flaming hot. This is the best I have seen Hardeep bat this year. Yes, he was better than he batted against Pokeries. Yes, against Pokeries, he scored 58 odd runs or something like that. In this one, he missed out on the 50. But if you ask me, right from ball one, Hardeep was in the zone. And I don't know, coming into the week, I do not know if you follow Corporate Cup, you will find that, you know, in Corporate Cup, he had blasted 6 sixes in a row. Not 6 sixes in one over, but the last ball of the previous over was a 6, and then he blasted another 5 sixes in the next over. So he was in a complete zone. And when he's in a zone, it's almost impossible to stop him. And in this game, Avi, you don't have to feel bad at all. If you feel, man, the Glad's batsman took me to the cleaners, because guess
thanks
what?
For bringing that up again, Vijay.
Because guess what? Samish Kilam is considered one of the best bowlers in DCL. He's always in the league lead in wickets. He's always fighting for the best bowler award. If you look at the wickets taken, he's always a very smart bowler. Parthu mentioned that, I think it was in the first show or the second show, where he said, you know, Samish is a person who uses his bowlers very well. He knows how to bowl, and he has his off cutters and in cutters and things like that. He knows how to adjust the bowling. And guess what? In this game, Samish was hit for 4 sixes in one over. And he finished this game with the worst stats I have ever seen Samish ever have in any game. 4 overs, 44 runs. He was taken to the cleaners. And that's what happens when Hardeep gets into a zone and Arjun gets into a zone. I mean, there is no respite. And that's exactly what happened in this game. I guess the secret weapon which Samish was talking about was Shoaib. Guess what? Shoaib went for 42 runs in his 5 overs. And their top bowler is Satish Tyagi, and he went for 40 runs in his 5 overs. None of them could, do a thing about the run feast which was going on. And if you ask me, it was a fabulous performance with the bat. The scorecard might say that it was somewhat close, but I think it is the Glad skipper who made it interesting by experimenting too much towards the end. And then I think in the end, some of these guys had to go for the Mishka game, so they're fielding with 8 or 9 and things like that. But I don't think it is as close as it looks on the scorecard. But walking away from the game, everyone, you can ask any one of the Glad's players and they'll tell you that GLCC is a very good team. Looking and watching it live, I said, man, this is an amazing team. Think of a team where Ashraf comes in at the number 11 spot, and that's exactly what happened in this game. That's a shocker to me, because I thought Ashraf is one of the best batsmen DCL has seen for a long, long time. He may not be the best batsman in DCL right now, but in his prime, I would have been hard pressed. I would have taken Ashraf in a heartbeat. And so he came number 11, and they had Sandeep Gopinath and Hemant, who played simply out of their minds. The Glad's bowling, if you ask me, led by Shan and Adi. Adi actually performed the ball of the day. And if you look at the last ball, which got Sandeep Gopinath clean bowled, I thought that was the best ball which was bowled in that entire game. But both teams are extremely deep, and their bowling is top notch. And only a super special team can beat them. They don't beat themselves. They are a very disciplined unit. They are very well led. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see them again. And if you ask me if we see them again, will the result be the same? I can't say that the result will be the same, because you need a few things to go in your favor. But I'm pretty sure we're going to see them again. Luckily, we got to make that statement in this game. The early prognosis from various pundits, so-called pundits, that our batting was in a funk, or that, we look rusty, and we are probably not the same team after that dismal outing against Punjab Warriors and Canton 11. But I want to say those guys are high on cannabis, because I don't believe everything which those guys are saying, because this was a great game. It was a great opponent, and there was great umpiring by both Maulik Patel and Satish Belamakonda. Though I do believe that Maulik Patel, I do not know what he was thinking. We will have him on the show, and I'm planning to ask him. There was a no ball which was way above Hardeep's waist. There is no way in the world that is not a no ball. There was a full toss way over the waist, and Hardeep hit it for a 6. Even then, he hit it for a 6. But it was not called a no ball. Go and look at the video, and you'll see that it is a no ball. But you asked me what keeps me up at night. Remember, I asked this question to Satish Belamakonda, what keeps you up at night? Well, I'll tell you what keeps me at night after seeing this performance. We have a guy called Taifur Rahman. If you ask me, he's one of the best warriors we have on our team. I would take Taifur Rahman any day, whether I'm in sleeping or not sleeping, I'll take him point blank, because that guy has heart, which very few people have. He will fight for you. He will do everything. This guy has broken his hand, and yet I sat on him. He didn't want to play this game, but I used every pressure that I can think of to make him play the game, and he played this game, and then he went and played the Mishka game. With his broken hand, he probably should not be playing, but we knew how critical he is for our purposes, and so that's exactly what we did. I felt bad that I was doing it, but I felt that this is a fabulous game, and we needed everybody which we can get who can make a difference. And sure enough, he made a difference. But this great Taifur Rahman, he came for he's been going to Kansas City, and he's our biggest problem is his availability. He's working all the time in Kansas City, and my concern is whether we'll get him qualified. So this weekend he was here, so I told him he has to play the Michigan Rangers game against Michigan Rangers. And sure enough, he came to the ground for the Michigan Rangers game. He saw that Glads lost the toss, and he went for a volleyball tournament. The same volleyball tournament which Hardeep Singh is conducting. But Hardeep Singh stayed and played the game, the whole game, all right? But our great Taifur Rahman, as soon as we lost the toss, he took off. If I could come out of the screen and grab his neck, I would squeeze the living daylights out of him. That's what keeps me awake, in the sense that we know how valuable Taifur Rahman is to us. And I'm sure, if you ask Partha, we'll say that Binod Singh is very valuable for their team and their chances. If you ask me, Glad's team performs much better when Taifur Rahman is in our lineup. But that's probably what keeps us up awake in the night. But he's a fabulous player, and he had a fabulous game. So, but yes, it was the Arjun Ajbani and the Hardeep Singh show. They took it away, but in the end, it was a great game against a great opponent, a chance to make a statement, and I think we made a statement.
Yeah, so I had a few analysis. Basically, I was looking this game very closely in terms of the 11, who's bowling, who's batting. I think GLCC missed a couple of tricks. One, I think they were missing their key bowler, Pradeep. I think he is one of their key bowlers who bowls 5 overs.
Let me ask you this question, Partha.
Yeah.
When you say they are missing Pradeep, it might be that Pradeep didn't fit into the 11. Who is he going to replace? If Ashraf is coming number 11, tell me who is Pradeep replacing?
No, I'm getting to that. So
okay.
I'm getting to that. So a couple of things I noticed. One, I don't know whether Pradeep wasn't included because he wasn't fit or he wasn't available, or whether he was not in the 11. But I felt like, having played GFCC so long, he definitely is one bowler who they rely on to bowl the quota 5 overs. So not saying that he wouldn't have gone for runs, but I thought he would have been, their go-to bowler, for the 5 overs. The other trick, I think, and I know I've mentioned, like, Samish does change his bowlers as soon as he finds that somebody's going after it. And in this case, he did the exact opposite. I don't know whether it was the pressure of the game or whether, after all, he's human. So I do see, like, people who were more economical, like Sandeep, Gopinath, you have Manish. Both of them were underboard. When you have Satish Tyagi, I know it is his premier go-to bowler, and also Shoaib Sheikh. He's a brand new bowler. So why have them bowl their full quota of overs when they're going at 8 and over, when you have people who are bowling 4 and under? So that's another piece which I thought was surprising to see. But to basically gauge this game, I thought, Arjun, he's a big match player, and come the hour, come the man. He just basically blazed through. He's been quiet so far. These 6-7 games, we haven't seen the best of him, but he brings his best when it's actually required. And once, Glad scored 178, it was always going to be a tall order. And even in their batting order, for some reason, I don't know why they felt like sending in Ajit at the top. He does provide the stability. He does give you that singles and doubles, but he is not that big six player. I thought they needed a big start to go after in the first 6 overs, especially in the power play. So I would have sent somebody like Shoaib Sheikh, or somebody like who can hit the sixes, like Manish. I know he hits big sixes. Somebody at the top, just to rattle the Glad's bowling. If I'm looking at 178, I better start aggressively and putting the opposition under pressure right away. So I thought that was another thing which I didn't see. They started with Abhishek, who generally takes his time, as well as Ajit, who takes his time. I didn't see somebody who could really take the bowling apart in their first 3 or 4 batters. So those were some of the things which I noted. Apart from what you called out, it was a superlative bowling, batting and bowling effort. I think Glad's just took GLCC to the cleaners. I thought that this would be a close game, but in the end, I think this was pretty one-sided, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think I know we've spent enough time on this game, and rightfully so. To me, just a couple of points that I wanted to make. Yes, I was privileged enough to watch the end of the Glad's batting innings online from home, and yes, Arjun showed exactly why he is held in such high regard by not just people in this league, but across multiple leagues, multiple formats, because it's one thing to score heavily against weaker sides, but to actually score at more than a run a ball and looking as comfortable as he did against a team of GLCC's class. Now that is real class, and full kudos to Arjun and Hardeep. Of course, we all know how damaging he is. He's been particularly damaging this season in various tournaments, like which you mentioned, and this was just absolute brutal hitting against a bowling attack. So that, and to me, that's what makes Glad's the side that it is, and that's why I picked it as the team to beat this season. And Biju can be as modest as he wants to be about this, but there was no chance in hell that this team was going to be bundled out for 56 or 57, whatever.
I really want to find out what
GLCC's true test.
I really want to find out what Hardeep is eating this season. Really, like, I think he's changed the floor, the atta, or something. But this guy suddenly, like, I know
we have to see if he's actually eating something or if he's just shooting stuff up. But because that's the kind of performance he is giving.
I bet it's the chakki atta which has changed. Something has changed in his diet.
And the other thing I wanted to mention was the fact. Kudos also to GLCC, because if you look at it, and they have again shown why they are also a much heralded team, because yes, it was a loss. I'd still consider this a dignified loss. There have been other teams that have been beaten into oblivion by the batting of the Gladiators, backed up by their very skillful bowling indeed. but I'd still say GLCC at least showed more spunk than some of the other teams have in the past against a rampaging Glads unit. But overall, all said and done, brilliant performance by the Gladiators. And like I said, this is why, for me, they are the team to beat this season. And any analyst who suggests otherwise, or who thinks that whoever commented derisively about the Glad's batting or bowling unit in the past, I don't know who those people are, but I really think that they need to get their sanity checked. I'm not one that usually uses strong language, but I was just appalled that somebody would even cast aspersions on the quality of the Glad's unit.
Yeah, I
Avi,
think this is just the dress rehearsal for the final. I definitely think it will be a very tall order for anyone to beat these two teams and take their place in the finals, unless something happens like a brownstone last 2019, where they just came out of nowhere and beat Glads. Something like that can happen, but I don't. If normalcy continues, then Glads GLCC, I see them as the finals.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised even if GLCC get tripped up on the way to the finals. Maybe it could even happen if these two end up facing each other before the finals. I don't know if that can happen. I am not the most adept or the most attentive when it comes to following pools and matchups going into the playoffs. Basically, somebody tells me this is who you're playing this weekend, and I just show up. But but Glad's definitely for me. Definitely looking to book a spot in the final.
Parthiv, I want to address that point where you said that why those bowlers were bowled. I don't think that was a mistake on the part of Samish. It all depends, and this is something which I told to Avi when Graz played Pokeries. It all depends on your stats in the bowling figures, depends on when you bowled and who you were bowling to. Sandeep Gopinath is bowling to Arjun Ajbani when we were in the consolidation stage, because, we had just lost, who is this, 2 wickets in the form of Ronak U. Patel and Shan. So now, there is that consolidation stage, and which is where Arjun and Taif were going through that consolidation stage. So there is not going to be too much attacking batting. You get my point? You're trying to make sure that the wickets don't fall too much. But get down to the 19th over or 18th over, and then you see that the gears start shifting. Now, anybody who's bowling from 18 to 25, the last 7 overs, because the last 7 overs, if you look at it, went for about 85 runs. Because until then, it was 86 for 3 at the end of 18 overs or something like that. And then all of a sudden, the score goes to 178. I think, I don't care whether it is Manish who comes to bowl or whether Sandeep Gopinath comes to bowl, they would have been, they would have got the same treatment or probably worse at that stage. So I don't think that's a fair thing to say that, well, maybe the skipper missed a trick, because I don't think he missed a trick. I mean, I honestly felt that the batsmen were taking the game away from the bowler. And at that point of time, when you have only 3 wickets falling, you can go for it, and that's exactly what happened. And then these two guys were on song, and then once they are on song, it doesn't matter who's bowling; they're going to go after it, and that's exactly what happened. And this ball, it's amazing. You just swing it and it goes out of the fence. So,
and for me, the point that you make, which is very pertinent indeed, and that's why I think, and I personally would like to call this out. I know you guys already did, but my friend there, Taif. It shows that it's not just a lot of brawn, but also a solid brain inside that head of his. That this game he actually played the sheet anchor role. So kudos overall as a unit, gentlemen. I think we've discussed this game enough. We really do have to move on. But congratulations to the Gladiators for winning this marquee game, and GLCC will probably be looking to get one of their own back the next time these sides meet. Next up is another of our final analysts' games: Strikers versus the Blasters.
Yeah, this game, I mean, I feel like I basically could have been much more influential in, not maybe in the outcome, but getting the game close to, giving a Blasters a run for their money. I think both me and Rahul were set after the early setback. I mean, the Blasters bowling was great. Deepak, our plan of action was basic plan of attack was, don't give wickets to Deepak, even though we did give them give him a wicket. But the plan was very simple: get the 5 over 6 overs out, get him out of the attack, and we knew that we had others who we could score off. And that was exactly what me and Rahul were doing. We were basically making sure that the other bowlers are not spared. We took them, 5 or 6 per over, and it was pretty much going, as per plan, after the early loss. But then rash of blood, brain fade, call it whatever. I basically took a start which I couldn't back up. Maybe in my younger days, I would have got back. But I basically maybe took a longer start than I should have on the long striker end. Direct hit. The Blasters fielding, I mean, it's incredible. They were throwing down stumps from be it anywhere on the field, and it was just unbelievable how
they might well have done that, Partha, but me and Viju were aghast in our prime time analyst WhatsApp group, saying, "Oh no! What has our boy gone and done?"
Yeah, I was so disgusted with especially, and these things don't happen very frequently when you've got to start, when you are really batting well, and then you suddenly lose the wicket because of a run out. That is just unforgivable. Nevertheless, coming back to the score, coming back to this game, I think 72 was well below par to challenge Blasters. Even though Blasters lost 6 wickets, the game was pretty one-sided. Ravi Teja, he alone, just blasted us out. Even though we got wickets at regular intervals, but he was basically anchoring the innings and playing shots at will. We never really troubled him. We never really even had a remote chance of getting him out. He basically threw his wicket towards the end, trying to finish the game. But our bowling has been a struggle throughout the season. We haven't been able to find that 4th and 5th bowler, which we always boasted. Strikers bowling has always had, the 5 frontline bowlers. We've always been able to bowl well. But this season, we're still in the process of finding those 2 bowlers with the absence of Raj. I think that's affecting us. Those 5 overs are definitely costing us a lot of runs, and with the lack of wickets, we aren't able to kind of keep the batsmen quiet. In this case, also, I think we tried our best. Binod, again, he's our go-to guy. Whenever we need wickets, my ball automatically I just toss it to him. He was he was my only hope and only weapon to get us back in the game. Few quick wickets, and we could have put in more pressure. With a score of 73, you really need quick wickets, and that didn't happen. Ravi, as I said, Ravi Teja just stood between us and the victory. And I think we just need to pull our socks up. We have a lot of games coming through. Unfortunately, our schedule has been affected by rain. We in fact played only 3 games so far, and it's almost mid-August. So we definitely have to pull our socks in the next 2 weekends if we dream of coming to the playoffs. Go ahead, Vijay.
Partha, quick question. Why was Vivek Pathak only bowling 2 overs when he has given only 6 runs? By the same token, which you asked for Samish, here's my counter question.
Yeah, I think the reason was Vivek is a great bowler, still relatively new. And in this match, I was looking for quick wickets. So I wanted to get the best out of Binod. I wanted to get all his overs. That was my only chance with Binod and me and Zayed, who we've recently got. He's a brand new bowler, his first game. So he's primarily was brought in for his bowling prowess. So I wanted to give these, maximum exposure so that we can get quick wickets, because Vivek, obviously he's good. He's good with the new ball. He can contain, but he hasn't got us wickets in a pile. So I think that was the reason I was pushing for Vinod and Zayed and myself to keep going till we actually get some wickets. But that didn't happen, as you can see.
The other thing is, I thought Ravi Teja was brilliant, and I think it is his brilliance which carried the Blasters through, because the Blasters batting has definitely looked suspect. All right, they did have different people stepping up, like Shan stepped up the other day, and then before that Hariyar and Muralidharan stepped up, and now Ravi Teja has stepped up. But it's always a one-man show. The others are not showing up. But again, I still think that old is gold, and I think Binod is still pure gold. And I think if strikers had to win this game with only 72 on the board, all 5 bowlers had to be of Binod's caliber. That's the only way you are going to win this game. But the advantage for strikers is that they have only played 3 games, and that's the lowest total of all teams in BCL to have played only 3 games. In comparison, Glads and GLCC, and I think Pokeries have played 6 games apiece. But the disadvantage is for strikers is they have 2 losses, and they do still have Legends and KRCC. Both are tough games. I personally feel both teams are punching above the weight class for strikers. Now, if they can win one of those 2 games, then things open up like the Red Sea parting for them. But again, I think one concerning point is something which we have been mentioning before. Strikers bowled only 15.4 overs, but in that 15.4 overs, they conceded 10 wides. So this is something which Partha will have to look at is, hey, I'm bowling 15 overs, and in that I'm giving 10 wides, and that's an astronomical number. But we'll have to see how things pan out. But I think in this game, again, if you look at it, it is only Rahul Chowji and Parthiv Mehta who showed up to play. The others came to eat peanuts, I felt, because they scored peanuts. I mean, somebody has to take up the mantle and say that I'm going to step up and play the game, because I challenged Tejas, what is that, on WhatsApp last week. We were having a conversation, and sure enough, he raised up the level of his play when he played this week. It didn't change the outcome, but at least he remained unbeaten, and he took it to heart and said, you know what, I'm going to raise the level of my game. And I think something needs to happen, because it can't be that Rahul Chowji has to produce every single game. And Parthiv Mehta, I don't know, must have got inspired by that, who's that, Karsten, whoever, the guy who ran the 400-meter hurdles, he set the world record. But I don't know. That run out really cost probably another 25 to 30 runs, because you don't get a wicket there. Kapil, we have seen, has always been able to come to the closing end of the stages and really accelerate the run rate. So that did not happen here. I think it was a very untimely wicket falling. But Karsten Warholm is the guy. He's the guy who has set up the world record. Unbelievable world record.
Yep.
Gentlemen, I'm sorry. We've only now covered the Sunday games, which I think was the lesser of the 2 days in terms of number of games played. So we have about 10 games to go, and I personally can stay for another 15 minutes. That should have a bearing on the show, but at least I'd suggest let's try and go through some of these games a bit more quickly. I think FCC versus Legends is the one that kicks off the Saturday game analyses, and pretty much a clinical win.
FCC Agni and Legends game. Yeah, I think again FCC Agni putting up a decent score. I would say 100. I think they had a fighting chance if they bowled well. But Legends this year have been just unbelievable clinically. And this is, again, without their ace, Harish, without their ace, they have been able to finish FCC Agni off in style, and contributions throughout through the scorecard. And for some reason, FCC Agni have been, time and again, have been failing to kind of defend the score. So maybe the new tactic might be to kind of see if they can chase, scores. In this case, another one where Mano Reddy, which Viju was talking about, he basically just missed out on a half century, but essentially he carried the innings all the way through. And Jashwant Jasu, we all know he's a great bat. Another good contribution from him, which brought it to 100. But then the bowling was pretty ordinary. I mean, I felt like too many 4-hitting balls, even though the extras were kind of on par, but I think there were too many boundary hitting balls. If you look at it, pretty much everyone was taken to around 6 and over and more. So and Ramesh, who's normally very consistent, normally very, very thrifty, he himself was going at 9.5 or over. So I think this was a game where the FCC Agni bowling just didn't show up.
Again, I think it's who you bowl to. Ramesh is not always bowling to a guy named KK. KK is a very aggressive batsman, and look at he goes right after it, right from ball number one. So I think that's part of the problem, is that when you're bowling to a very aggressive batsman, your bowling figures can look really out of whack. Again, I think for Agni, once again, a two-man show. As we already mentioned, Mano Reddy, I'm not going to mention it to him again. But Legends is a very balanced side. If you look at it, KK, Praveen Arikatla, Gautam, Little KK, which is KK's younger brother, Murli KK, they all came and contributed. You see, the other day it was Naga. So they have multiple people coming out and contributing. I think Legends are clicking on all cylinders. Everything is working for them, except for Belamakonda's running between the wickets. Now, the last time around, I did say that Satish Belamakonda, I don't know what in the world he was thinking when he went called for a run. He puts these fancy shoes and he takes off. I don't know what he thinks. I mean, he must be thinking he's Usain Bolt or something. And you know, the Parthav, you know this line in the movie Kalia, there was this line from Bachchan. He says, you know, "Jahan hum khade ho jate hai, line wahi se shuru hota hai." You know, it was in the and it's like our friend. It's a movie Kalia. It's a movie's name was Kalia. Okay. It's in the prison, and there's a fight. Before the fight, they're standing in line for the food, and Bachchan goes and stands and says, "Jahan hum khade hote hai, line wahi se shuru hota hai." Our friend Satish Belamakonda says, "When I run, that's when the running starts." I mean, I don't know what else to say, but you know what? In this particular game, in all fairness to Satish Belamakonda, and he probably is going to get mad after I say this, I actually am not sure he was out. Go and take a look at that. I wanted to see whose fault it was that he got run out this time. Last time it was his fault. This time he just, again, his fault. There was no run.
I'm sorry. It says Satish didn't bat.
I don't know.
Was it another game you were talking about?
Probably it's they have two games. All right. So
they have
it
two
is one
games.
of the,
Yeah, probably.
Okay. All right, then in that case, he go, okay, I'm talking about that game, so I'll cut out on that game. But anyway, in that game, he got run out. Okay, it was the very next game he got run out. And coming back to the point, okay, well, my point is that after I said it, the very next game, he again got run out, despite me saying that Belamakonda. So that's what I was trying to get at, all right? Not in this game, but the only thing which is not working is Belamakonda getting run out. And so my point here is that, well, Satish, in that game, I actually do not think he's run out. If you go and take a look at that video, I honestly did not think he was run out. I think it is the umpire raising his finger very quickly as soon as it was against Spartans. I remember that. It was against Spartans. The guys start appealing. Man, when was the time the benefit of doubt goes to the appealing team? The benefit of doubt should go to the batsman. You look at it, Belamakonda is actually dragging his bat. So as much as I would like to criticize Belamakonda for that run out, I'm not sure. If I was the umpire there, I don't think I'm going to give that a run out, because benefit of doubt has to go to the batsman. But anyway,
but I think in DCL it actually works the other way. It is the appeal which makes
it's the appeal. As soon as the appeal happens, I don't know. The umpire just feels the pressure to raise the finger. I'm not sure if it is close, call it in favor of the batsman. I think that needs to be said, but I honestly did not think that was run out, at least based on what I saw in the figures. Now, if you make it slow motion, who knows what happens? But I think it's a top team. They are in a top playing like full strength. They are doing awesome job. There's no way to put it that other than they are the best team out in that pool. Now, when they go against a GLCC or when they go against a Glads, what happens? We'll have to see when that happens. But till then, they are the king in their pool.
Yep. I think the next game was a close affair, if you ask me. I think the Bulls, this was one of the games. So they basically played back-to-back games. This was the first of the one on Saturday. And 95, I think they piled on the runs. And I think at one stage, if I'm right, they were looking very firm favorites to kind of go through. They had pretty awesome contributions, and again, 95 was probably lower than what they would have expected to, reach. Plagued by a few runouts, but eventually, I think with the start they had, they kind of lost track. Albeit for the few runouts they had. And then eventually, they basically got out to 95. And after that, Kings 11 had a kind of a stutter. They started well, but then they lost a bunch of wickets in the middle, which caused a little bit of a hiccup. Like if you look at the scoreline, they were 3 for 60, and that at that time, chasing 96, you would have guessed, they would have cantered easily. But after that, there was a flurry of wickets, 67, 71, 71. So there were like 3 or 4 wickets which fell in a hurry, and then the game was on. But eventually, I think the start which they had from Sunil and Prashant and Abhilash and Purna at the top, those 4 people, the contributions that they made kind of just made sure that Kings 11 didn't lose track on it. Again, I was looking forward for another, Nikhil Kumar. I've seen him against us, and at that time I thought, he was just unbelievable. He was going to be the find of this season. But again, another duck. I think last game also was another duck. So I'm really disappointed to see him not capitulate on such a great start he's had this season. So nevertheless, Kings 11, as I said, is a tough team. The Kings 11 is going to be the team to watch out for. And just like how you mentioned for Patriots, this is another team you wouldn't want to face in the playoffs. First up.
Parthiv, this was a clinical win by Kings 11. I think Kings 11 is a team I absolutely love because they are the ones who rescued me from the penitentiary of the KRCC camp, you see. So, but this was a very methodical chase, and I think they have some very good leadership there. They only took 3 wickets of the Bulls, so I'm a little disappointed with the Bulls that they scored only 95 runs, because 3 runouts and then the other 3 wickets, I think they could have scored more than 95 if they had pushed themselves. Somehow I felt that they did not do that, and for that they paid it. Again, Kings 11, I'm not sure why you need to use 8 bowlers, and some of them are bowling just one over. This is something which they probably will learn as they go along. But they're a very well-managed team. If you ask me, this is a very bad loss for Bulls, because this was a 50-50 game they had to win, and if they had to make the playoffs, they really needed this win. And I think if they don't make the playoffs, they can come back and look at this game and say, hey, what would have happened if we had pushed ourselves to score a little more than 95? Because you lost only 6 wickets, and only 3 wickets was taken by the opposition. 3 of them were runouts, which you guys didn't run properly and got run out. So something for them to go back and evaluate. But congrats to Kings 11. A great effort.
All right. Where are we? Okay. The next game was the one which I think has put a nail in the coffin for Brownstone.
Oh dear, this one might go well.
somehow I think the Brownstone, the diesel engine, has again kind of clogged. This time, I mean, I was pretty amazed as to how they folded for 37. Hitman, I know, is another team which in the same vein of Kings 11 have incrementally kind of just improved over as the season has gone. And in this game, however, they were like Brownstone was all over them. Apart from the lower order contribution, Hitman wouldn't have reached even 78. To be honest, they would have folded under 50. But even for a score of 78, and with the kind of batting which Brownstone had, they had pretty much everyone. Rehan was there, Rashid was there, Mansab was there. Albeit I thought Mansab was pretty late in the order, should have come pretty early and finished the game up. That would have made a ton of a difference if he had clicked and got a few runs quickly. Hitman, the shoulders would have dropped. But the early wickets for Brownstone and the wickets that just kept falling and single digit scores all throughout, with extras being the highest scorer, you can just imagine what a day it must have been. It's great to see Hitman getting a taste of the big guys. I think this is their first game that they've actually played with one of the big ones, and they've been able to beat a big team. So great, and I'm very, very happy to see one of my friends. I worked with him for a while, Philip Thomas. He's one of the nicest guys in DCL. Great to see him pick figures, and I'm pretty sure these are the best figures he's ever had in his career. 2.2 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 4. That is just unbelievable. I'm pretty sure he's either laminated it or something like that. He should do that totally. But a great shout out to him. He was the architect for Brownstone's mess.
Partha, 37 for 10. I don't know what to say about it. If you look at it, there are 9 extras. That means Brownstown scored a grand 28 runs off the bat. I'm telling you, you can't win that kind of a game even against a 5th grade team. All right, leave alone a team which is playing really good cricket these days. So, Parthiv, let me ask you a question. Have you seen an elephant do a pole vault?
Never.
Have never seen an elephant do a pole vault? Let me tell you something. Even if you see an elephant do a pole vault in this Tokyo Olympics, let me tell you, there is no chance in hell Brownstown is making the playoffs in 2021 of DCL. All right? There is a better chance of seeing an elephant doing a pole vault in the Tokyo Olympics than Brownstown making an entry into the 2021 DCL playoffs. They are pretty much dead. I know that mathematically, by the strangest coincidence and all kinds of permutations and combinations working in their favor, they can still probably do it. And Rashid can dream all that he wants. But here is the problem. They have to beat Blasters, they have to beat KRCC, and they have to beat Strikers. Those are their next 3 opponents. They have already played 7 games. And they need to just not beat them. They need to beat them handily and get the bonus point and improve their net run rate. Now, Rashid has been renting all these players the last couple of games. But this game, he was not able to rent Saeed and Tuhin and all those guys. And sure enough, nothing happened. And, their biggest scorer was Kamran Ali. But the man who killed Brownstown was your friend and my friend, Philip Thomas. As you said, he needs to take this thing. And Philip Thomas has said this before also, that, Brownstown has a problem with slow bowling. Philip Thomas might have decided in this particular game that I'm going to bowl so slow that if I don't like the trajectory of this delivery, I'm going to chase my own ball and grab it back and bowl it again. All right, because I don't know, 2.2 overs, 1 maiden, 1 run, and 4 wickets. That is the best figures. And this is the best guy in DCL. He's probably the nicest guy you will see in DCL. He's a fabulous friend. I really like it. When I saw these figures, I was elated for him because he needs to take a photo shot of this and keep it for the rest of his life, because he's the man who probably took that coffin and put that nail and banged it in. All right. He's the man who probably killed Brownstown. Man of the match was Philip Thomas. He deserved it. But there was a murder in cold blood. And the person who got murdered was the Brownstown unit. And it is Philip Thomas who murdered that Brownstown unit in their sleep. Yep, Brownstown slept through this game and they died in their sleep. There was no LBWs. If you look at it, it was all caught or bowled behind or bowled as far as Philip Thomas was concerned. There was 1 LBW, I think, in the game. I don't have the scorecard in front of me. But here is the thing. Philip Thomas, all his wickets were either bowled or caught. So fantastic effort from Philip Thomas. Couldn't have happened to a better person. Congrats to Hitman. They have put themselves in the equation to make it to the playoffs. I still am not willing to say that they'll make the playoffs, but they are in the hunt.
Yeah, they've definitely made my life difficult, Hitman, because I wasn't counting on them to be one of the teams to go after. So I think they've definitely put themselves in a very good position midway through the season here. All right. Next game was the GLCC Pokeries game. So another one which I think belied all the expectations and all the fanfare which was there. Another one which people were expecting to be a very close contest. But unfortunately, I think GLCC completely blew Pokeries out. I think with 124, I think that was par. I think that was what I was expecting. 110 to 120 would be something which we would see, and then either way, whoever is chasing would either come close or kind of chase it by the whisker, with an over or 3 balls or whatever remaining. But I think the Pokeries batting just decimated, and I don't know whether it was the great bowling from GLCC or was it just the pressure of the runs. But I didn't see anyone kind of put their hand up and they had everyone. They had Prasanna, they had Satish, they had Vicky. I don't know why Avi, you weren't available. But
Yeah, I wasn't available due to some personal commitments. But
okay, yeah, but pretty much, everyone who I thought would have been in the 11 was there, apart from you, which I was calling out last show about the Pokeries 11. Ranjit, good to see him back. I think you mentioned he was in some injury. Good to see him back. But I did feel like maybe Pokeries haven't got the batting order still figured out. I think I still see a lot of up and down, especially in the top four. Satish comes in the opening, then he comes in the middle. Saran, I've seen him in the middle. Now he opens up. So I did see that kind of going back and forth. On the bowling side, I don't as you can see, this is the kind of bowling figures you expect from GLCC. So when we saw it in the Glads game, it was kind of a shocker that they were like taken to the cleaners. You generally see these very economical figures from GLCC, and Akash was another one which was missing in that game. So that's another one of those GLCC pillars who's always performing. But again, Avi, maybe you can throw some light on this game from the insides.
yes, well, personally, as an analyst, all I can say is these are the kind of games. I mean, yes, Pokeries always are one of the teams that get top billing in any DCL related conversations that happen. Yes, they have a very good lineup. But if you ask me, and yes, and justifiably so, they are considered a good team because you don't make it to 3 finals in 4 years without being good. But I think where Pokeries have struggled really is to match the pace of the game as it's changed. We were extremely competitive till about 2017-ish when we used the softer ball. But now with the harder ball, with the game being a lot more fast-paced and power-packed, I think that's where, when we come up against these big teams like the Glads, the big hitting teams like Glads or GLCC for that matter, or Brownstone or Knockers maybe, who of course aren't playing this year, we find the Pokeries find themselves outgunned, literally. And then it becomes a simple academic matter of conceding lesser sixes than you can score. So obviously that balance is quite lopsided when it comes to the Pokeries. So that is something that the Pokeries have not been able to figure out. The chopping and changing of the batting lineup that was alluded to, yes, that remains a bit of a concern, but not being part of the team leadership, I can't really speak to what is happening over there. But again, yes, if you look at some of those names, Amit Sivarai has been a good addition for us. He brings in a bit of that power factor. Unfortunately, he did not get going in this game. And of course, I personally wasn't there. But one of the feelers that I got was that maybe somewhere in that lineup, there was a bit of a lack of intent at times to try and take the initiative, take the attack to the opposition bowlers. So for the way GLCC started, I was following the scorecard at least. I think Pokeries bowlers did a good job in pulling it back and keeping it to the 124, I believe, that GLCC scored. But really, when it comes to the batting, and these are, yes, they may not be big hitters, but you can still score it up to 6 or 7 or 8 runs and over, even by sensible playing. And ultimately, that's all that was required to chase this target down. And a couple of lusty blows here and there would get you to the goal. But unfortunately, that didn't happen this time. So Pokeries still have some soul searching to do. It's one thing to score, and I'm going to be harsh here despite being a Pokeries player myself. And I'd like to point this out to my own teammates, whoever might be watching this, that look, whatever comments I make, I am also part of the target of those comments. So, because ultimately I am a Pokeries player, we really need to pull our socks up. Pokeries, it's one thing to score against a team like AR Phantoms or any other team that's maybe not as strong, no insult intended. But you really prove your mettle when you play the stronger teams. And I think that is where we really need to front up and each of us needs to take our responsibilities. It's easy to pin it all on the captain, but really, what can the guy do when the individual players don't take responsibility? And I think that is where each of us has to think long and hard about his game and see how better each of us can try and bring our A game, game after game. And yes, it may not happen all the time, but it certainly needs to happen more often than it does.
Yeah, I think that's a very good, honest assessment. I think that's something which I also have felt in this season as well as the earlier season, is that we basically have been always like the team which is always like a looking for a bowling to kind of perform and then kind of chase that 70, 80 odd. We haven't really graduated to the 100, 120, 130 plus scores where you basically have to really go after the bowling. So I think that's pretty much, I think a lot of teams are facing that situation. So yeah, I don't think Pokeries is alone.
No, definitely not. I think that's where the team building exercise comes in, right? That's where the teams like the Glads and the GLCCs and the Induses, the Glads and the Induses particularly, that's where they are masters at stocking up their teams that way. Not, of course, again, not all teams have to do that, like you said. But if that being said, I think we all have to up our games to correspondingly match the changing trends of the game. Yes, Viju, please go ahead.
Avi, I think that was the most honest assessment I have ever heard from an analyst on any show.
Thank you.
And if the Pokeries guys have a problem with that, they need to go and examine themselves and look at themselves in the mirror, because that is, if I had to give an honest assessment, that is probably, I would have said pretty much everything which you said, and said a few more things like be honest to each other and challenge yourself. And look at yourself and, stop believing in a lie and say that, what are we doing wrong? If somebody is calling you out for it, have the guts to face it up. Because I think the talent is there. The question is not about the talent, it's about the application of the talent. And again, I think Prasanna Venkatesh, all right, he has done squat this season, all right? And I'm going to be honest in this thing. Nobody has probably ever said that in Prasanna Venkatesh's life, where somebody has said that he has done squat. But this season, Prasanna Venkatesh has done squat. So if he has done squat, let's call it a squat. Now, the rumor is he's injured. I do not know if he's injured. If he's injured, then we have to give him the pass. He's probably nursing the injury and, he'll be all game for playoffs. I do not know. Go ahead, Abhi.
On that note, I think what he needs to do is a lot more squats to get back in shape. And so do I, and so do quite a few of the Pokeries players. I think it has the interim year that we lost did hit some of us hard. I should also give credit to some of us, some of those like the Vikis and the Ranjits that have actually stayed in shape, and Vinods. But yeah, please go ahead though.
and again, I think Vignesh probably is trying to find the answer because he failed a few times at the one down spot. I still do not think he needs to sacrifice his one down spot. He's the best one down player for Pokeries, bar none. So I would rather say that, go back to your one down spot and figure out what is not working, and maybe have somebody give you an honest assessment as to what are the mistakes which you do. I mean, that's what I do with Ronak U. Patel. I mean, when something does not work, I sit down and tell him, hey, this is what you're doing wrong. This is what you need to correct. And let's give credit to Ronak U. Patel that he's a very good listener, very good student. When you tell him something, he takes it to heart and he works on it and he fixes the problem. But I think in this particular game, again, I think what you have said is right. Beating the AR Phantoms is no big deal. But in the two big games which you had, which was against GLCC and Pokeries, and Glads, you failed to show up. And so that, if I'm the skipper, that would be a huge problem, in the sense that that's where I find out where exactly I stand.
And if anything, it's not so much the loss that hurts. I think it's the manner of the loss. For example, GLCC lost to you guys, but they can still hold their heads high. The Pokeries simply cannot. We simply did not show up well enough. And at least against the Glads, I was part of that dismal performance. So I take equal responsibility.
I think they still have one more chance. They play Sterling Strikers. We know that Sterling Strikers have lost only one game. Again, granted, they have not played Pokeries, they have not played GLCC, and they have not played Glads. And I have said this long ago that I think when they go through that murderous stretch, they are going to lose either one or two or possibly all three games, you see. So I think Pokeries need to go to that game with the full intent of winning that game, because that's going to be the litmus test as to whether you're going to make some noise in the playoffs. But I think the Pokeries bowling is fine. I'm not too concerned about the Pokeries bowling. I think their bowling is fine. It's probably not as good as it was 2-3 years ago. There's a slight drop off in the bowling, especially for Ravi and a couple of other guys, but still their bowling is pretty good. But it's on the batting end that the problem is. And I think they need to figure that out. I don't think it needs large scale changes, but there are some changes which needs to happen. And I think there's also, you need to sit down and have a conversation with Prasanna Venkatesh and say that, hey, what are you going to do to help us out? Because as good as we were against GLCC, guess what, Avi? Go and ask Arjun Ajmani, and you can go and ask in the Glads group also. In WhatsApp, I criticized Arjun Ajmani. So somebody has to do that role. And where, in the Bible, there is a favorite verse of mine: faithful are the wounds of a friend. If you're really a good friend, sometimes you have to look at that person right in the eye and tell him, hey, this is what you're doing. And this is what is wrong. Let's try to fix it. You're not trying to put that person down. I really love Ravi Narala. I have a highest respect for him. But when we are telling some of these things, the intention is we want them to get back to that level which they were 2-3 years ago. Remember, 3 finals in 4 years. How many teams can do it? Right. We didn't do it. Glads hasn't done it. Tell me which other team has done it. Solely that they didn't win it. They should have won it one of the years. The other 2 years, well, one year not a chance, but the other one probably. So yeah, I mean, it's a good team. You just need to work a few things out. But I think it's a question of assessing honestly what a person is, looking that person in the eye and challenging that person. Because you have added talent like Neil and people like that, Raghu Palaniswamy and things like that. Well, we need to somehow see how we can get the best out of those guys. But let's move on.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, gentlemen, I'm sorry, I do have to get going. I did text some of my colleagues saying I'll be late to the meeting simply because I wanted to be here for this game, and I think and provide the Pokeries perspective, or more rather I'd say a more honest analyst perspective, which I have done. So thank you so much to the audience as well. Please do continue listening. We still have our 2 astute analysts presenting this show, continuing to present this show for you. I will, however, see you next week. So good night to all of you, and gentlemen, carry on the show. Thank you very much.
Good night, Avi. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
You're on mute. Parthav, you're on mute. Parthav, you're on mute.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah. So the next game, I think we can quickly go through this. I don't think there's a ton of things to talk about apart from talking about the Troy Hawks batting. 169 after they made 169. I think the game was pretty much done. But the way they kind of finished off Dark Horses with just 14 overs, and none of the batting for Dark Horses. I think Rahul and Pankaj have been carrying the batting. But in this case, they failed, and so did Dark Horses. So I wouldn't go too much into detail as we are running short of time. But Troy Hawks on Saturday, they were kings. They were flying high with the 169, and then the Sunday, the batting completely decimated. So it's kind of surprising how cricket is a leveler.
Parthav, this is such a one-sided game. There is no point in even discussing it. So I'll just pass it.
Yeah. I think the next game was the one I think we had talked about while we were conducting the show. Although this was conducted, was this the one which we were calling out when they were, or was it a different one?
This is the one where Patriots versus Dynamites. That's the one which we said that Avi and I picked Patriots, but the 2 of you had picked Dynamites.
Yeah. So this game I think was close. Dynamites had a very good chance of getting to the 100. Good job by Suresh Babu. I think he bowled brilliantly. 5 overs, 14 for 5. He's a very deceptive bowler. He doesn't look at all threatening, but he bowls very immaculately. He has that particular like slower, loopy bowling, which is difficult to read, difficult to kind of get out and hit it, and somehow you kind of lose wicket to him. So I think he did a fabulous job of keeping Patriots under, that a par score, especially towards the end. I think again another scorecard where you see this kind of pattern, which has emerged in the last few games, is the top order kind of giving a start, but the middle and lower order failing to capitalize on the start, and the team kind of scoring under par to what they should have. On the batting side, I felt Dynamites somehow haven't been able to be figure out like what batting combination again they want. Satish Sankara for me has always been opening for Dynamites, or has been one down for them. The times I've played with them, and he's basically carries the batting along. He's the backbone, and he should have been there at the very start when you're chasing a target of 100, and then others kind of revolve around him. But he came in late, and by the time the damage was already starting to be starting to happen. Another innings where run out has made a difference. Both Venkat and Arun both getting runouts. And then towards the end, I think Anil and Saurabh, I think those guys canton games. They are the two guys who I think Dynamites and Vijay eye on for the big hits. That didn't come. I think Saurabh did have a couple of good hits, but Anil, I know the style he plays. He just goes after the bowling, and if he gets going, then the game would have been over with a lot more overs to spare. But somehow, I think Dynamites fell short. Patriots again, a great win for them. That makes them even more closer to securing that playoff spot.
Arthur, I'm going to criticize Anil Bilmoria. The guy has so much talent, all right? He's ridiculously talented, but he produces squat for the kind of talent which he has. And I feel it's a lack of application. Anil Bilmoria needs to look himself in the eye and say that, I'm going to stay at the wicket for this thing, not go right after the ball, right at ball number 1. But I feel that so many times I have seen that guy bat. And there was once I saw him bat, and I was so amazed at the kind of shots which he was hitting. I wanted to find out what is this guy's name. Very, very rarely I try to find out a player's name where if I don't know it, because he has impressed me so much. He impressed me so much, but when I look at the scorecards, very often he really doesn't produce any much. He's a very nice guy. If you talk to him, you'll find that he's a very nice guy. But here is the problem. You need to do something about it. It's nice to be nice, but you know what? On the cricket field, you need to produce. And so I think Vijay needs to have a honest conversation with him as to what needs to happen for him to sing. But again, to those guys who were criticizing Suresh Babu, because a couple of games ago, he bowled the critical over which went for a lot of runs, and they lost that game. In this game, he shut all their mouths down. But Naresh Sundar, I think, was fantabulous for these guys in Patriots. But Dynamites, once again, are at a crossroads. Now, this year, it's a very improved performance. But if you look at the past, Dynamites always threaten to make the playoffs. And they'll be threatening, and they'll miss the playoffs by 1 point, or just because of the net run rate being a fraction short. I've seen all this magic happen in the past. Now, the question is, what can Vijay do to make sure that they maintain the same momentum? And now, if you ask me, in the past, the Dynamites were like an octopus on roller skates. Have you seen an octopus on roller skates? Man, there's a lot of action, all right? There's a lot of action. There's a lot of movement. And this is exactly what's the problem with the Dynamites. There's a lot of action. Come the playoffs, they are in the playoff hunt. They are almost making the playoffs. But I always felt just when it gets critical, this octopus on roller skates makes 1 step forward and takes 2 steps backward. But this year, now the Dynamites have been really performing well. What I want Vijay Shanmugam to do is, instead of taking 1 step forward and 2 steps backward, I want him to take 2 steps forward and 1 step backward, even if he has to take a step backward. Because in this game, this was a step backward. My fear is this going to carry over to the next games? Because they really have to nail down the playoff spot. This playoff spot, as we said last week, is theirs to lose. They have some good games coming up, but then the question is, whether they can manage that. But they have a couple of winnable games, but the next game I think is against the Safaris. It's a must-win game for Dynamites, because if they don't win that game, they are now put themselves into the same situation which I said about the octopus with roller skates, 1 step forward and 2 steps backward. If you look on that Safaris team, there is a guy called, what is that? Swarna Rahul Mritini. If you ask me, Swarna, I think stands for gold. This guy is the golden boy of DCL. If you ask me, he is having a fabulous game. 5 games, I looked at his stats. 5 games, he has bowled 5 overs in all of the 5 games. All 25 overs he has bowled. All right. He is bowling outstanding and he is batting outstanding. There are only 2 guys in DCL who have a higher strike rate than Swarna Rahul Mritini, the golden boy of DCL. I'm very good at giving names for people and their names stick. This is the golden boy of DCL, according to me, this year, because this golden Mritini has been having a strike rate which is bested only by 2 guys. Our great Hardeep Singh, and the number 1 guy with the number 1 strike rate is Amarendra Bahubali Buwala. Yes. He's the guy with the number 1 strike rate in DCL, followed by Hardeep Singh, and the number 3 on that strike rate is this Swarna Rahul Mritini, the golden boy of DCL. But Vijay Shanmugam needs to win against Safaris, and Safaris have been playing some very, very good cricket. And Swarna Rahul Mritini is probably going to stand between Dynamites booking a spot in the playoffs, because they lose that game against Safaris. Then all of a sudden it's not that clear, because I think they have 2 tough games remaining in their schedule. So we'll have to see what happens. We'll see what goes on. Because Dynamites still have Troy Hawks and Indus Thunders, and they are tough games. You get my point? Right. Which is why they have to win. So Vijay Shanmugam can't say that we didn't tell him what the recipe is. He has to win the Safaris game, because oftentimes he says, hey guys, you should tell us what we should do also. Here is what I'm telling you. Win the Safaris game. Simple as that.
I think that you nailed it. I think this week, the weekend is going to be key for Dynamite, because as you mentioned, this win here, I think, secures their spot, assuming that they beat the dark horses. And even if after that they lose to Troy Hawks and the Thunders, I think they should still be in a good position. So yes, must win game, Vijay, if you're listening. All right, next game, I think another one which was very, very one-sided. MI Rangers. Before this was a game, I think it was played in the evening, right, under lights, if I'm not mistaken. Lads versus MI Rangers.
No, it was a morning game.
Oh, it was a morning game. Okay.
Yeah, so maybe it was a Saturday morning game.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure it ended before maybe 10:30 or 11, even before the scheduled break of change of innings. MI Rangers completely decimated by Gladiators. I don't think we have more to say apart from Jawad bowling a spell which, again, I think he should laminate this. I know Jawad is a very good bowler. He's very, very economical. He bowls line and length, but I haven't seen him pick so many wickets at such a canter. So I think this was completely out of the ordinary. And if you look at it, all were bowled. So I don't know what the MI Rangers were having the previous night, but I think they were probably not seeing 2 balls and completely missing it from coming out of the bowler's hand. So if MI Rangers have been partying the previous night, don't party it, because you guys are losing the ball from the bowler's hand, and you guys are getting completely wiped off.
Parthiv, I watched this game live, and I'll be honest with you. Jawad Zahir, if you look at his bowling figures, you can just go down a little bit on the Gladiators innings, and if you can just look, it's 3.1 overs, 1 maiden, 3 runs, and 5 wickets. It should not be 5 wickets. It should be 4.25 wickets. All right. Now you're going to ask me why 4.25 wickets. 0.75 wicket, according to me, belongs to the keeper. Now, you have been a keeper and you know what role a keeper can do with regards to a batsman. If you go back and look at that, if you go back and look at the video, Radang was batting very well, actually. All right. And then he gets into an argument with the keeper. And I am the Glad's patriarch, and I will be honest with you. I think our keeper is wrong. All right. Because I think what happened is at that point, actually, I had stepped out. When I came back, I saw that this argument was going back, but I didn't go rewind and see the video. It was a one-sided game, so I didn't really go and back and see the video. But I think the argument which was going on was that I think the keeper went and stepped on the pitch or something like that. And Radang was right in saying that, hey, you have no business in stepping on the pitch. If I were the batsman, I would probably say the same thing too. So this conversation is going on back and forth between those two guys. In between, Radang says, if you are going to do this, I'm going to go and tell the leg umpire and get you to stop. Here's the problem. That's exactly what the keeper is trying to do, get inside your head. You get my point? Right. So when you're a batsman, you just want to put your head down and just focus on don't get into the argument. And sure enough, after this argument, Parthu, go and look at it, the very next ball, clean bowled. That's exactly what happened. All right. So I feel that it is 4.25 wickets, 0.75 wickets to the keeper. But again, coming
by that way, I would have been the highest wicket taker in DCL. If you count
that's true. That's why Satish Belamukunda has so much respect for you that he said that Partha will do something and you will reach the quarterfinals of DCL 2021. I mean, I thought that was very high praise, at least from his angle. Yes. But coming back to this game, Partha, again, I think the Glads did their homework, and give credit to Satya Velayutham. We knew that ground was a beach. All right. If you go and look at it, it was the outside park of Novi. This thing, it was full of sand. Yep. Both teams didn't deserve to get that ground. And we realized that the ball is going to keep low, and credit Satya that he gave the ball to Jawad, because we know that Jawad's balls tend to keep low, and we identified the right bowler and we gave it to him. And the next thing you know, it was 5 bowls. So I don't think it is the partying. I don't think it is partying by the Michigan Rangers. Rather, I think the problem was that the ball itself was keeping low. So
I think we received a lot of complaints for this game or this ground, the Novi Power Park. I think the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 fields which are facing the road. Those are, I think, the preferred ones. The ones which are towards the end.
This was number 5 or number 6 or whatever it was. It was a beach. It's a travesty that any team should play there, and it so happens that Rangers and Glads got the luck of the draw to play there, so we played there. Right. But I mean, there's nothing much I can say about this game. It was so one-sided. Right. But let's move on.
Yep. The next game we have is the MCC Miles Canton 11. This was a very big surprise for me, especially thinking, we haven't given a lot of credit to MCC Miles. Simply, and they basically asked for it. They basically haven't performed throughout the season. They have disappointed time and again. Games which they should have won, they should have performed better. In this case, it was it was quite refreshing to see the batting put up a score, something which they could fight, something they could defend. And then Canton 11, they have been scoring 100 plus every single game that I've seen. And this is a kind of a surprise for me that they didn't, they weren't even competitive in this score. I mean, they just lost wickets after wickets, time after time. And, just never were in the game. And if you look at their start, they lost 3 wickets at the start. They had a start. They built a little bit, and then again they lost traction, and then lost wickets in a hurry again. So Canton 11, I think this loss, I hope for Javed that it doesn't come and bite them. But this is a really terrible loss for a game. I think pretty much everyone expected them to win.
Parthiv, this is a great win for MCC Miles because they have now put themselves in the number 5 spot. Canton 11 was in the euphoria of last week, and they lost track of the plot. This loss is, if you ask me, Parthiv, is probably going to knock Canton 11 out of the playoffs. When they go out of the playoffs, they can look back to this game and say that this was the game where they lost the track of the plot. Because after that fabulous win against Sterling Strikers, that last ball, 2 runs and 12 runs needed, and the great Ramzi Mohammad doing a fantabulous job. It was euphoria, and these guys probably partied for the rest of the week because it was that
Right.
that good a game. And you had our friend Javed saying east or west, Ramzi is the best. But all that, pour water on it, because it came to nothing, because all that wonderful work against Sterling Strikers came to nothing in this game by losing this. This was a 50-50 game. They had to win this. In fact, it was not even probably a 50-50 game. It was probably a 60-40 game in favor of Canton 11, because all of us predicted Canton 11 to win. And if you ask me, Parthiv, in Pool C, there is only one spot open. All right, we probably earlier said it was the pool of death only because of the strength of the teams. But honestly, if you look at the top 4 teams, they seem to have separated themselves from everybody else. So if you really look at it, Sterling Strikers has so many points. You get my point. It's hard to see them ever getting knocked out of the playoffs. Glads has already booked a spot in the playoffs with 6 wins. GLCC is for certain going into the playoffs, and Pokeries is going to walk into the playoffs. So that's 4 teams have taken up 4 spots. That leaves only 1 spot these guys are fighting over. And this loss is pretty much knocks them out. So by my calculation, I think Canton 11 is probably gone because of this loss.
Yeah, it looks like that, because I think, but there is still, I mean, there is hope for Canton 11 because they have relatively.
Yes, mathematically they are alive, but again, this is a question of practicality. You get my point. That's the only problem.
Yeah, I was comparing their schedules, and I think both of them have some easy wins which they should be counting on. I mean, Canton 11 have Micah, they have Rising Stars and AR Phantoms, which should be pretty a stroll, and then they have GLCC. Similarly, I think MCC Miles have Glads to face, but apart from that, the other 3 games are pretty one-sided as well. So it's going to be interesting. All right, hey, I think we've got some visitors. Hey, Maulik. Hey, Parag.
Hi, Maulik, and hi, Parag.
Hi, Viju.
Good to see.
How are you?
Good to see you guys.
Good. Parag, before I forget, thank you for a fabulous job of umpiring when you came for the Glads Pokeries game. I do not know if our skipper is sending those emails out, but if he's not, at least accept thanks on behalf. And same thing to Maulik. Thanks for fantabulous umpiring last week against GLCC. At least when you go against the top teams, Parthiv did say that he was going to send the Strikers best umpire for the Glads Pokeries game, and we really appreciated it.
No problem. Thanks, Viju.
All right, we'll get to you guys in a couple of minutes. We just have 2 more games to wrap up, and then we'll come to the game of the week.
Sure.
So the next game we have is the Raptors FCC game. Again, I think this is I've been a broken radio, and I think we both agree FCC batting has still not shown up. Time and again, FCC has failed to kind of even get close to the scores. Forget about coming beating. They haven't even come close to. And in this case, they are almost half of what Raptors. And Raptors on the other side, their batting has been just phenomenal. They were missing their Bahubali in this game, but still they've been performing. Pretty much every batsman has been in double figures in some game or the other. They're still missing their captain Pradeep. He's out with a finger injury. I think he mentioned he's out for 6 weeks. But once he comes in, I think the batting will even become more stronger. So I definitely, as I've been mentioning, Raptors are a team to look out for. They are definitely my favorites for semi-final position. And in this case, as you can see here, FCC weren't able to control the amount of runs. And if you look at the extras, even 20 extras out of it, 16 wides. Again, you're giving 4 overs extra to a team which is already loaded with batting. Just the wrong written all over it. And on the FCC side, you mentioned Tejas finally putting his hand up. He was further down the order than I thought he should have been. As we keep mentioning, he's definitely one batsman who can make a difference. Vijay Matta, I met him over the weekend. He's definitely put on a lot of pounds. So he's not the same Vijay Matta that we that we all know of. He's definitely past his prime, and I think most of us are. Like, if you see me also, you'll be shocked. So I don't think there is anything to to be surprised about. But good to see him around. But I don't think his presence is going to make any difference to FCC. So I see FCC's chances of making the playoffs almost negligible at this point of time.
Parthiv, you walked into my question. That was a question which I had for you at the end of my conversation. I was going to ask you, was FCC going to make the playoffs? Because at the beginning of the season, we thought FCC was a shoo-in for making the playoffs. But right now, if I asked you, will FCC make the playoffs? My feeling is you're probably saying no, right?
No.
Or
no.
Okay.
I think, I don't think so. I think it's between Safaris and Dynamites and SSK. That fifth spot is between these three. FCC, I don't think is nowhere near playoffs position.
But their schedule is pretty favorable. They have dark horses, Safaris, UCA, and Patriots, out of which Patriots is a tough game. But I do think they can beat dark horses and UCA. Safaris is going to be, like I said, for Vijay Shanmugam. That's probably going to be the game where they're going to find out if they make it to the playoffs or not make it to the playoffs. But I had this conversation with Tejas. We went back and forth about good and not good and things like that. He admitted at this point that, his team is not good, that his batting is not good. And the moment he realized that, he said, I'm going to go and make a full out effort. And I challenged him to raise the level of his own game because his own batting had been coming. I said, stop excuses, come out and perform. And so he said, I'm going to come on your show only after I perform. So he took up the challenge, and in this game, he sure enough batted very well. He was unbeaten. But again, I think there's not enough support coming from the rest of the unit. You can't score 65 runs and think that you're going to win any game, for that matter of fact, at least with this ball. And that was not happening. And then they don't have that kind of bowling to defend 65. So in any case, if you look at it, 132 they gave up to Raptors. Out of that, there were 20 extras, as you said. But what are we talking about? We have been saying that the FCC bowling is their strength, but you give 20 extras, out of which 16 wides and 3 or 4 no balls. I mean, and every time you bowl a no ball, it's a free hit. God help you, because Malik knows this. There was a no ball declared, a front step no ball to Arjun Ajbani. The moment you get the free hit, I knew before even the ball was delivered where the ball is going to land. And sure enough, it landed outside the park. Because when you give a good batsman a chance to hit a free hit, he's going to cream you. And that's exactly, I think FCC has a problem. But I think what Nala is doing his best. From what I heard, he even called a meeting and food and all those things to see what we can develop some camaraderie and try to do whatever it takes. But they're not getting the job done. I think it is on the batting end, but now that malaise seems to be developing also on the bowling end, because in this game, the bowling was not that great.
Yep. Yeah, and I think FCC, just like how we have, they've got a lot of veteran players, and I think that those are difficult to hide in the field. So.
Yeah, so Vatnala has his work cut out, but I'm not sure. It's not looking too promising. The schedule looks promising for them, but I think the key game is going to be the Safaris game. So Safaris captain Venkat Kolla can be the person who is the part. He's the kingmaker, and he can be the party spoiler. He can spoil the Dynamites party. He can spoil the FCC party. So maybe somebody should offer him a lot of money on the site to see if there's a possibility of Safaris going easy. But I think they've been playing a good brand of cricket.
Yeah, we should probably call him on our show next week.
Yeah,
if they beat Dynamites. Yeah, if they beat Dynamites, we definitely need to call them.
Yeah.
All right. Last game of the week was Indus Thunders and SSK. Indus Thunders, they would be very relieved to finally get a win after the 2 losses they've had the previous weekend. This was a team which, again, as we mentioned, this is the team which we are used to. from Indus Thunders. They're big players. Manoj Singh, Dinesh Pendati, Abhishek Sankari. Good to see him up the order. I know he came last in the last game. And I think the experimentation which Sandeep Gopu was trying is over. I think he's tried a couple of games where he's given people chances, but I think it's time to go come back to the Thunders that we are used to. Again, we still see a couple of experiments to there. We see Azim and Nilesh still in the 11. I think they still in that holly jolly mood. I think they've been certain that they are going to the playoffs. I think they're taking more of this brownstone strategies. Come playoffs, we'll see what happens. But by the time, we'll basically take it as a ride. I don't think they're looking for like going unbeaten into playoffs or going bang 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 every week. They are. I see in all the 11 they have a couple of players who they've kind of included to just give them a feeler. So in this, good to see our old friend Azim playing, Nilesh playing. So it's even with that, the SSK weren't able to kind of beat them. They fell short, and the Chief Destroyer, as you can see, that the two guys who always make a difference, Dinesh and Manoj, picked up 5 wickets between them, and top order was pretty much cleaned up by them. And after that, it was difficult for them to kind of chase a score of 102.
Parthiv, can you show that Indus Thunder scorecard?
Yes.
Remember, I think you just now said that last week Abhishek Shankari came last. Let me remind you, Abhishek Shankari did not come last. Abhishek Shankari did not even bat. And you know what? I told you at that time itself that when he was the captain of the Spartans, he was probably their best batsman. So that's what floored me, was that what in the world was Gopu thinking, not even giving a chance to give this guy bat. And then you had Ravi Ganta, who is to come number 11 on megabytes. You get my point? Ravi Ganta was always a top class bowler for megabytes, and they used him as a bowler. And in that game, you found that Ravi Ganta did not bowl a single over, and he was used as a batsman. And Abhishek Shankari, who is a batsman, was not at all used. Forget that. He didn't even get a chance to even bat. In fact, I'm willing to bet that, you know what? Now, if Abhishek Shankari and Sandeep Gopu were given 10 chances to bat, it probably is going to be 5-5, where 5 times Gopu scores more and 5 times Abhishek Shankari scores more. So Abhishek Shankari is a good batsman, and it's proved here. 27 runs he scored, and that too in 42 balls. That's nothing to sneeze at. He went one down. He showed that he's a very capable batsman. He should have been batting in that game, and if he had batted in that game, probably the result could have been different. Chetan Dushyant came so low down, and sure enough, in this game, the two of them scored 60 runs out of the 102 runs. That 102 runs includes extras, but these two guys alone scored 60 runs. This is exactly the point which I was trying to make last week, that, you know what, this makes no sense. This makes absolutely no sense that you're taking these two guys and putting them out. I don't care what experimentation you're doing, but if you keep losing games, your own players are going to say that, you know what, this experimentation makes absolutely no sense, and it's ridiculous, because you don't come to play a game to lose the game. You play a game to win the game. You play games to win games. Simple as that. I mean, forget the experimentation. I mean, sure, this time around they used various players and things like that. It worked out very well. But again, this game, if you look at it, Ravi Ganta again did not get any bowling unless he's injured, which we do not know about. I don't understand. I thought he's a bowler. All right. So now all of a sudden he's a batsman. So these are things which probably we need to call Gopu and ask him, because, hey, I don't get it. I don't think you get it. And I don't think most of the people who know anything about DCL cricket get it. So there's something magic which is happening.
I think we'll have him back on the show on the 14th. I think Indus Thunders play Raptors. I'm pretty sure that if there is any other bigger game, but I think this might be close to our showcase game of the week. So we might have him come back to our show. All right. So I think we are pretty much done with all our games. We may
I think there's one more game. There was Legends versus Spartans, but I would rather pass that game. There's a one-sided affair by Legends. We can go to the showcase game of the week.
Okay. All right. So for the showcase game of the week, this weekend we have Strikers at KRCC. This is round 2. strikers played KRCC, which was washed out, and we are due for our batting. So when we left the ground, I think Maulik, you had told us that we won the toss, right? We eventually can decide what we want to do because you still owe us batting. Anyways, yeah, no.
I don't know what that part is.
Parthiv, before we get into the game, let's look at that previous game. All right. My friend Maulik is there, so I'm not doing this behind his back. Maulik told me, man, I'm sure it's there somewhere. Maulik told me, man, the strikers escaped. That game was playable. That ground was playable, but Parthiv did not want to play the game the moment he saw how much we put on the board. And so he escaped because he just did not want to. He knew his chances of winning that game were non-existent. So I think that spices up this game further, because let me ask you, Parthiv, is that the case? Did you try to dodge a bullet?
No way. That game, actually, I had my best 11. I had Vraj in my side, which was that was the only game which he was going to make it, because he's playing the minor league. So he's pretty much out for the August, like July and August. So that was the only game he had agreed that he had that one weekend before he starts that he actually showed up for the game. So I had my best 11 probably in that game. But I think nevertheless, I think the game, I think it was like 50-50. I think they scored around 100, 120. I think we were like 10 or 11 for 1 or something like that in the first 3-4 overs.
13 of 18 balls.
There was constant drizzle.
We dropped one catch.
Yeah, okay.
So
easy catch.
Yeah, so I think the game was the game. I mean, I don't think the game was heavily weighed on one side or the other. It was still on. I think there was constant drizzle throughout the day, and we were still playing. I mean, we didn't mind, but after that, the ground just got unplayable. So I didn't dodge a bullet. I think I'm very much looking forward to this game because, I have the other side, and I'm looking forward to this game being really spicy and interesting. And this weekend, and finally, we've been able to play because we've had a lot of our players play for the same Leatherball League. Maulik and Sahesh and Rahul Chowji and all those guys play for the same club. So, if their availability kind of is always dependent on what the club is having from a Leatherball perspective. But since we are, I wish my players would have said that.
Viju knows that. Me and Ronak, we were never countries for hardball. Even when I used to play for Glad,
wow, that is
me, Viju and Ronak, we will make sure Arjun doesn't play Leatherball game as well. We are trying our best. But anyway,
the
yeah,
other way
my
around
priority is
we have to
DCL.
convince our team. All right. Since you guys are both here, I wanted to talk about what are some of the strategies you guys are going into this game for against each other, like any planning, anything which you guys are thinking about.
See, I can start with
for
where
it.
I know that
Anyone?
I know that I'm gonna start with it. Hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah,
Go
ahead.
I think I know that you guys are coming stronger for sure now, because you guys know what we are capable of, right? At the same time, you guys see our game against Kings 11 as well, and definitely we are coming stronger as well because we know what we need to do exactly by losing the Kings 11 game, right? 122 target. I think that's what we did last time against you guys, and I don't think so. That was good enough. Brudge being there, I know that's not good enough target. I think we should put easily more than 150. 150 is where we can feel according to our bowling attack and stuff. Viju, you can laugh as much you want. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. But for me to secure this game, I think we can do 150 is where we should go according to our strength, to tell you true. And we cannot take striker lightly. You don't know. He might bring Raj. He'll be like, Raj, fly. Come back. I want you to play. So you never know, right? And this ball, as you say, it travels like crazy. So it's just a 1% game. It can change the game anytime. And strategy is just I think few players from our team need to take a stand and play a responsible cricket basically, where we mess it up in Kings 11. Other than that, I think few changes maybe here and there, and also you may not see our full team because hardball games. We have hardball games as well, so we may have
Yeah.
some issue with that too. But we'll see. Let's see what we can do. And that's all we have. I don't have much to say right now.
All right. Should I go now?
Yes, Parag, please.
How
Yeah.
about Parag?
I mean,
Yeah, yeah, go.
I'm just so happy that Maulik admitted that 122 was not enough. So so I think nothing more to add to that. I think we were in a good position as well. But I think both sides, I think both sides play with the passion, the passion that we have. I think it's gonna, that's why probably you guys have picked it as a showcase game of the week. We expect a lot of chirping around.
So
with,
what?
Yeah, good.
So I want to say, I always get highlighted for things which I do, like arguments with umpires, and I question the decision of the umpires, and I sledge the batsman. All that gets glorified, but nobody has come out and said during our game in KRCC, Satish Gaba was given out LBW or caught behind or whatever. I remember, and I basically recalled him back,
sportsmanship.
and he ended.
Definitely.
Oh,
I think I
But
was talking with Viju.
that conveniently everybody's forgotten
Parthiv,
about that.
I think I mentioned that to Viju, right? Viju, didn't I? Maybe you're
No,
talking or something.
I never.
I did talk to somebody.
This is
that's
the first time I'm
confidence.
hearing about it.
Yeah.
No, I did mention. I think I don't know who I was talking, but I say there was the nicest thing what Parthiv done is where he did call Satish Gaba, where I think it was LBW, right? Parthiv?
Yeah.
LBW or caught? I think it was
Caught
caught,
behind
if I'm
something,
not
yeah. But
mistaken.
there wasn't age at all, and Parthiv literally called back, and that was nice. I
But my
hope many
point,
people can do that.
my point is that I all the things which get people talk about. It's only
Bad thing.
the things which they don't like they talk about.
That's how it is. That's the world of war, right, Parthiv?
But
Parthiv, have you heard of this statement? Let me give you a factual statement. It's a very famous English statement. A lie transfers halfway around the world before the truth can even put its pants on. All right, that's exactly what happens. So when you do a good thing, even before you can put your pants on, all your bad stuff has already reached everybody else. You see, that's what happens on. So that's what goes on there. Yeah, but coming back to Parag, please tell us the keys to victory for strikers in this game. You already had one crack at them, and you saw what their batting is capable of. Coming into this game, now you know what needs to happen, because you really are sitting in a dicey stage. You have 1 win and 2 losses, but the advantage is that you have 7 games remaining, and there are people like Satish Belamakonda who expects you to reach all the way up to quarterfinals. So. The expectations are huge. So tell us what needs to happen.
Sure. I mean, this year has been very strange for us, especially every time we go in and we are getting breaks up for 2 or 3 weeks, and then players have been playing for different leagues. So it's been tough for us. But I think what good has come out is basically we're getting some new players in that side. I think we have found some exciting players which will probably show up for this match as well. So we'll see some new players, young talent as well as the old guns firing up. We have good bowling lineup. We are looking forward to the battle. I think we saw what we know what to expect from the batting lineup that KRCC have, and probably we'll have definitely have some plans for them this time. I don't want to reveal all the stuff, but yeah, I think some of the key players I think are. I'm counting on one of our. I've been pushing him so hard, but it's Kishore who's probably it's my gut feeling that he's going to fire up this time. I'm vouching on him this time that it's going to be his day.
I'm so surprised. I'm sure Kishore is surprised as well.
He should be, but I think he's one of the most underestimated, and he's been underperforming as well. But yeah, he's
now the
somebody.
question is, will I get Maulik Patel out? Will I sledge him to the again to get his wicket?
It's already started. Viju is already started. Okay, he's already started. Chalo.
So,
Viju, it is already
Maulik Patel, let
two
me.
out of two.
All right,
I
Maulik Patel, let me give you another challenge here. All right.
Okay.
Remember, most of the league probably doesn't remember it, but you remember it very well. This was maybe, I don't know, 5 years ago or something like that. Parthiv remembers it very well. But Glads were playing strikers. All right. Now, remember this Virendra Sehwag incident, wherein Virendra Sehwag was in a talk show or something like that. And Virendra Sehwag was asked this question, and he said that, there was a game where he was batting along with Sachin Tendulkar and Shoaib. Who's this? The fastest bowler. Who's the fastest bowler? Shoaib Akhtar. That's right. Shoaib Akhtar was bowling. And then, he was challenging Sehwag. Man, I'm bowling bouncer. Hit a six and show me. Hit a six and show me. He kept on taunting him. Hit a six. Hit a six. Finally, Sehwag got, frustrated, or he was upset and angry. And then he said, you know what? Go and bowl your six to that fellow who's standing on the strikers, and he's your bap, but tera bap ko bowling dal, and you'll see what happens. And sure enough, Shoaib Akhtar bowled a bouncer to Tendulkar, and Tendulkar promptly hinted for a six. That is what Sehwag said on that talk show. And then Sehwag gave the line of the day, which is, he said, "Bap bap hota hai and beta beta hota hai." So I used the same dialogue in that in the EP poll. You get my point, that bap bap hota hai and beta beta hota hai. The next thing I know, strikers versus Glads happen, and guess what? I found out the hard way that the Glads ka bap is striker, because strikers beat us handily in that game, and Vrach Patel happened to be the Glads bap. So I still haven't forgotten that. So today I want to bring this challenge to Mr. Maulik Patel. By Maulik Patel, you were the umpire in the game between Glads and GLCC. And you saw that game where you had, You had Samish Kilam, one of the most accomplished bowlers in DCL. He came and he was hit for 4 sixes in 1 over. By Hardeep Singh hit 6 sixes in a corporate cup. Those 6 consecutive balls, not in the same over, but the last ball of 1 over and then 5 additional sixes. Maulik Patel, I'm going to challenge you, boss. I want you to hit Parthiv Mehta for 5 sixes in 1 over, okay? I'm challenging you, and I'm giving you a financial reward for every 6 you hit on national television. I'm challenging you. Every 6 you hit of Parthiv Mehta. He's not as accomplished as Samish Kilam. All you have to do is 5 sixes. I didn't ask 6 sixes. I asked you a very reasonable number. 5 sixes, my friend. 5 sixes you hit. Every 6 you hit, I will give you $100. And Maulik Patel, you know this. But you know 401k, right? You know the 401k. You know how the 401k works. Maulik, do you know how the 401k works?
Yes,
okay.
Yes,
all right. So now here is the thing. Let me tell you how the 401k works to those who do not know how the 401k works. Basically, the employee puts, let's say, $10. The employer also matches it $10. All right. So for every dollar which you put in, the employer matches it. So you should use the 401k because you're getting free money from the employer for every dollar which you put. If you don't put in any dollar, you don't get it. Maulik Patel, when this pandemic was going on, all right, I heard that there was huge shortages of toilet paper or toilet tissue paper in the United States. All I know is the richest man in DCL.
Maulik is not responsible for it.
No, the richest man in DCL is our friend Yogesh Mittal. All right, when everybody was having problems with tissue paper, our friend Yogesh Mittal had no problems because he's having $100 bills floating all around. So you know what was happening to those $100 bills. All right. So let me tell you, Maulik Patel, for every dollar which I put, I am challenging Yogesh Mittal on national television to put $2 to match my every dollar. In other words, You're going to get $300 for every 6. 5 sixes you hit, my friend, $1,500. If Yogesh Mittal doesn't do it, I'm going to call him a darpuk. Okay, he's useless. You know, what is the use of all this $100 bills which is floating around in his house? I challenge Yogesh Mittal, and I know Yogesh Mittal is a good sport. He'll put the $2 for every dollar which I'm putting. I'm putting $500 on the line. Maulik Patel, ये पार्थिव मेहता को बता दे, बाप कौन है और बेटा कौन है? I am looking forward to this game. Let us see who is the bap and who is the beta. All right,
Viju, 2 questions here.
yes.
One is Yogesh.
Maulik, Maulik, let's
wait,
I'll
Parthiv.
bowl you loopers.
No, Parthiv, wait.
750 each.
So 2 questions here. One is, will Yogesh Mittal be giving the same notes to Maulik that he used during the lockdown? And the second so be careful, Maulik. Don't fall for this trap.
Look,
and the second,
if Viju, the same challenge you would have given me when I was playing for Glad, I would have took it. But not.
I'm giving you the challenge now. There was
no
talk show. There's no talk show during those times, man. Now we are having a talk show.
For me, the Maulik which you knew when I was playing for Glad and when I left the Glad is totally different now. If you would have given me the same challenge that time, I would have taken it. Because look at my lineup. I don't have Arjun Ajbani everywhere. You have San, you have Ronak, you have Ajbani, you have Hardeep, right? I can go for it, right? Because I have somebody who can take the stand. Where I'm playing right now, it's not necessary. I will tell you this though. Let Parthiv ball 25th over. I will go for it.
All right. So my second question was for.
So
my second question is still pending.
That you stay till the 25th over.
No, so my second question is still pending for Viju is, what will Parthiv get if he gets Maulik out?
If Parthiv get for getting Maulik out, but I am trying to pump Maulik Patel to be the top of this show, man. I mean, I want to show. See, my friendship is with Maulik Patel because he was my ex-player. You know, so I already have suffered from Parthiv Mehta, where he has shown me that strikers are Glad's bop. All right, I'm fed up of this. I want Maulik Patel now to take revenge on strikers and show that he's
right now. For me and my team,
man, Maulik Patel, you're not rising up to the challenge, man. Maulik Patel, you have to rise up to the challenge, baby.
Not the situation where I'm playing right now. When I play for Glad in the future, whenever, I'll take that challenge. First, I need to secure the game, and then more important is to win the game. That's it. And I know. I know what important part I play in my team.
Split the money, man. We are good Jews after all. Come on.
No.
But anyway, we have spiced up the game. Now it's going to be interesting to see what Parthiv Mehta does in the game and what Maulik Patel does in the game, because we're going to be discussing that next week. I have nothing to lose other than $500. You get my point.
To be honest, I think
gets 500.
No, for five sixes which Maulik Patel hits, I was ready to give $500, but it has to be in Parthiv Mehta's over. You know, if Maulik Patel hits me for 5 sixes, no, come on, that's nothing. You know, that's child's play for him. But
I can't even hit Parthiv Mehta.
But hitting Parthiv Mehta, that'll take some special talent.
I think the real talent or real thing would be if he can hit Binod for 5 sixes. That then I would contribute as well.
No, I think Binod.
I think one thing I wanted to mention. I think basically between the two sides, I think the difference is going to be batting. I think the KRCC batting lineup, especially the experience they have with Maulik and Jasneet and Sahesh and all those guys have been playing this game for quite a long time. That's going to, even in the game which we played, even though we didn't complete it, I think that was making the difference. They didn't lose a lot of wickets. I think they lost probably 4 or 5 wickets in their 122. So we weren't able to kind of get them out, which I think is because they made sure then they took the game deep. I think that is experience. So I think that is the difference between what our team is going through right now. Is we have a little bit of an experience right now, and And that's good because we have youth. We are looking forward to the years, which I think I've been looking forward to handing the baton to someone to carry the striker's flag. So that's good to see some of the players come up. But to be honest, in this game, it's going to be, battle of experience. Who uses the experience? We have Binod, we have, myself, Rahul. We can use some of our experiences, but who actually brings it to the game better is going to dictate the game.
Having said that, Parthiv, when I saw the KRCC game, I do feel that our friend Yogesh Mittal helped me out because he made sure Jasneet came much later than himself. So that certainly contributed a bit towards helping me not grow a mustache. So I'm counting that Yogesh Mittal will do some boo-boo like that in this particular game too.
I want to say to that point, Vijay, to tell you true. Yes, we all blame umpires after we lose, but definitely our 2 wicket was very important. And the umpire was very, very bad, to tell you true, on those leg. It was a leg side ball. He gave Bihar LB and there was no age, but they appealed like anything and he gave a quad behind as well. The 2 wicket were very closer. We would have won that game, to tell you true. The next day, I wasn't going for umpiring for Sterling Striker and Canton. When I woke up in the morning, 8 a.m., I called Miktal. I'm like, who's going for umpiring? I'm going because I want to make sure same thing won't happen to this good game. And that's why second time umpiring coming for Glad game as well. We make sure that, I'm not saying I'm the best umpire, but at least when I start the game, I tell opponent captains both, I'm only giving plum LBW and benefit doubt will go to the best man regardless, doesn't matter. That's how we start the game. These guys, they just raise finger without even without even thinking anything, I wish other team do the same thing and send a good umpire for other games as well, so we can enjoy the cricket. Otherwise, it will lose the interest.
I agree with you, Maulik. In fact, this was some conversation we just said earlier, where I felt that Satish Belamakunda was probably not run out. That is just my opinion based on whatever I saw in the video. But he was given out. I mean, there was an appeal and immediately it was given out. But I think umpires have a habit of raising the finger as soon as possible, which is really sad. But at least I hope that even if all the games do not get the best umpires, I just hope that teams make an effort, at least when it's a showcase game of the week or when there is a game where there is much on the line, and they would send their best umpires so that yes, it is a problem every single time, but umpiring can make a huge difference because in a close game it decides who wins and who loses. So when in doubt, give benefit or doubt to the batsman. But I think this game has been pumped up enough. But I have a question for Parag though. Parag, if you are the striker skipper, what are the things which you think Parthiv needs to improve upon?
Apart from already what
it's
Of course, it's a loaded question, but hey, this is national television. We should ask loaded questions. If you should ask tough questions, you're not giving freebies.
Yeah. Well, like any other team member, right? I have to be politically correct here, but yeah, I think I've played with Parthiv for too long. I think I trust his gut feeling. He's Dhoni of our team, right? So I just trust his gut feeling. So whenever he says he wants to go with a certain change, certain bowling, I think you trust him. That's probably why Parthiv is rated highly for his captainship. So yeah, we trust him. I don't see any whenever we feel something, we always chat between, even during the practice, or even I text him saying, hey, I feel this player should be there, but he has a good explanation why somebody needs to be there or not, it's not needed. So I probably am not able to provide you the masala that you need, but at least but what I feel right now is, having played with him, I think I just feel some of the moves he does it's pretty much you can count on him, and I'm always aligned with what he's doing. So,
all right. Any additional questions, Parthiv?
No, I think I'm looking forward to this game, and I'm looking forward to getting Maulik out. So
yeah, no problem. We'll see the game there.
Are you guys going to broadcast the game by chance? Because I would see the game if you buy.
Yes,
yeah. Now we have,
as long as Kapil does that. So as long as
I'm gonna do it as well.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I hope that one of you will at least send me a link. I would love to see the game.
Yeah,
I try my best to watch all the showcase game of the week. So
Viju,
I'm
anytime you want to watch a KRCC game, just type my name or just M.A. Patel 89. You will find us.
okay.
And you
Just type Maulik Patel. Aren't there thousands of Maulik Patels in the world?
Viju, I have 105K subscriber.
What is that?
I have 105K subscriber. Trust me, you'll find me.
105K.
Yes.
Oh wow.
That's why I can do live right away.
What do you do, man?
I don't have to record the videos or anything. One of the video got hit in 2011 when I put one of the bhajan for Sai Baba.
Oh,
And that time we didn't have we had a CD world, MP3 and all that. But I uploaded so my other relatives can watch because they were begging me for making a video CD all the time. I'm like, man, I don't have time, so I put it on a YouTube.
Nice.
But that's why I can record the live and cast it kind of thing. They give me that feature. I don't make any money though, but that's not full time thing. But yeah, you can type M.A. Patel 89 and you can see so far what I have recorded. I've been recording since last two or three games. That's what I'm able to tell how bad umpiring was it, because I rewinded Bihar LBW and the caught behind for Jana, and it was bad. It was bad. I'm like, okay, it's okay though. Let's learn the lesson, and let's let that not happen to other team. Let's at least us do the thing. And Viju, I encourage you, glad to stand umpire instead of just paying money, because of Jagan may not able to find umpires. He texts me here and there, hey, do we have any umpires? Do we have any umpires? I think that money thing over there just for when you don't have in certain situation where, hey, we don't have, we ready to pay fine, but not for all the game. That option should go away, to tell you true. But that way,
Maulik, here is the thing. If you ask me, the committee, by sending paid umpires, one thing it does is it takes bias out of the equation. That is one thing. The second thing is it does provide in this time a lot of people good side money, which is difficult to get. It's $50 for a game, which is really self-rewarding. Most of the leagues have paid umpires, and so if you take if you want to say that our league is comparable to other leagues where there is paid umpires, then you should go in that direction. Now, it might be that you've got a bad umpire, but that doesn't mean that okay, let me ask you this question. Okay, Glad sent an umpire, but we sent you a useless umpire. All right. I have had this situation where there are teams, this is top teams, I'm not going to name them, where as soon as they are out of the playoffs, they send the two worst umpires so that people will not pick their players as umpires. Brownstone is a specialist in this. Rashid Malik has taken that into an art form. All right, I'm telling you, Rashid Malik knows every trick in the book. All right, Parthiv, I am not kidding, man. Trust me, Malik. You're saying send an umpire. Wait for the Brownstone umpire after Brownstone is out of the playoffs. They will send two guys whose name you can't even identify. All right. If Rashid comes for umpiring, I'm very confident. All right.
That's why what we need to do is to take out that option at all. What we need to do is what Hardball does. They have entire committee for umpire, and they send people for classes and certified and all that stuff. We probably need to take it to that level, because DCL. Look at where we're taking DCL, right?
So again, it's a paid umpire, right? So if somebody is going for an umpiring, it should be they should get rewarded for that. Why is somebody putting gas and going there and standing and umpiring for 4 hours? They should get paid. That's fair enough. I think DCL has done a great job by giving paid umpiring to many people, and there are a number of quality guys available, but maybe not every time you can get a top-notch umpire. But I think Jagan has done a good job. At least now, maybe he doesn't have an entire panel, but I do think that it was a step in the right direction when other leagues are also offering the same option, kind of a thing. Now, in those leagues, I think it is mandatory. Everything is done by the paid umpires. But yeah, I mean, just because a team is sending an umpire doesn't mean that he's going to send a good umpire. They probably might just find whoever they can and send that. I remember when I was this Glad skipper, I tried to go for as many games as possible as umpiring. I just loved watching the game, but not everybody shares the same opinion, you see.
But I hope they do. Otherwise, it's no fun,
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
So I think the next segment we have is the predictions. So both Satya, Parag and Maulik, you guys should stay over. We'd love to hear your predictions for this week as well. And we're going to go over all the games and kind of, see our analyst predictions as well as, your predictions as well, who you guys think would get. So just to recap, I still lead, just to rub it in.
Yes, you lead, but your lead has come down drastically, my friend. You had almost 11 game or a 12 game lead, but your striker friends have not been helping you too much.
Yeah.
So, by the way, who are you predicting? KRCC versus strikers? Please tell it on national television.
Of course, KRCC, Viju.
No, I want to hear from him. No, strikers. All right, because you're predicting strikers. All right, so I just want Satya to correct it because he had you as predicting KRCC last time around. Even when Raj Patel was there, you still predicted KRCC. All right, so this time Satya needs to go back and change it. I need that because I need to somehow catch up on you. I'm hoping KRCC pulls out a miracle. I can, at least just for me to gain on Mr. Parthav, you see.
Okay, so I think the first game we have is Raptors versus SSK. Is that right? Is that the order? Wait, let me just make sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, okay. All right. So I think I think we should probably use just this. I'm not going to go back because we don't have Avi and Satya. So I think all the four analysts, we have Raptors, hands down. So it's 4-0 Raptors. What do you guys think? Parag, what do you think? Raptors, SSK?
Yeah, I think Raptors. Probably.
Maulik?
Yeah. Raptor going good.
Okay. Let's put your guys so you know. Okay. The next one we have Dynamite Safaris. Now this is interesting because I think we have 2 and 2. Avi and me both think Dynamites, and then Satya and Viju, you guys have Safari. I think the reason why I picked Dynamites.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, sir. No, go ahead. I was saying I picked Dynamites because it's a must-win game for them. I know Safaris have been performing well, but I still feel Dynamites, have to win this game and they'll come back stronger.
Parthav, I picked Safaris because Dynamites, as I told you, they have a habit of being the octopus on roller skates. They take one step forward and then 2 steps backward. They have done this too many times to me the last several years. So this year, again, when they lost that game last week, I have these bad memories coming back to me that once again, our octopus on roller skates will take 1 step forward and take 2 steps backward. Now, if they lose this game, that's exactly what would have happened. Don't say I did not say it. So in other words, I'm challenging my good friend Vijay Shanmugam. Man, prove me wrong and win against Safaris. But Safaris, I'm high on this guy I have never met. The golden boy of DCL, Swarna Rahul Mrutini. I think Swarna Rahul Mrutini is going to be rolling all over Dynamites on this one. But if Dynamites get him cheap, then probably it's game over. But let's see what happens. But there is something for Vijay Shanmugam to fight on and something to challenge his team on. But let's hear our fellow showcase game of the week contestants as to who they are picking.
Yes, I'm picking Dynamites here based on the. I'm picking Dynamites here based on the just knowing those guys.
You're going by heart.
Yeah, I mean we've no, it's just Dynamites are probably better.
I picked Dynamite too.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay, so we have 4-2. Let's see. So this is kind of a make or break. This can make Viju, you can have another point, or I can gain 1 more point on you.
That's true.
Okay, the next one is Dark Horses Thunderbolts. 4-0 Thunderbolts. You guys agree?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Dark Horses have yet to win. I don't think they have won yet. And I don't see them winning this game. Or the only game I think they might win is if they have maybe UCA if they don't show up. Indus Thunders, UCA, I think this is I can basically predict this is just going to be Thunders rolling over UCA. Is that right, you guys?
Yep.
Okay, FCC Agni versus Kings 11. Okay, all three, me, Satya, and Viju go for Kings 11. Avi is going for FCC Agni. Okay, that's interesting. What do you guys think?
I go for FC Agni.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Let's see.
Nope.
Let's see.
I think Kings 11 for me.
Even
I
after,
think
after
you got it wrong, Parthiv. You slipped.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, in spite of Kings 11 beating you guys, you go for FCC Agni?
Yes, sir.
Maulik?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Maulik is not
I
able
mean,
to forget that defeat.
Kings 11 is
He's-
getting no respect, man. Kings 11 is
Yeah.
getting no respect. If
he's-
Vijay Kamam is seeing this, he needs to use this as motivation to
I saw that.
you know.
I was there in the live game. I know what we should have done, and I know what respect they should have get. But it just that the day there was a day, you know.
I don't know.
I
think
faced the FCC Agni bowling is much better than Kings 11 bowling because I was batting in both and I seen it. So
all right. Well, I haven't seen batted against them, but you know, Kings 11 has. I think their chase, etc., has been clinical. So I just on the leadership side, I think I'm going with Kings 11. Let's see.
Yep.
All right.
Oh,
Next one we have is Detroit Detroit Bulls versus Blasters. I think this is 4-0 for Blasters. What do you guys think?
Blaster all those.
Blasters. Yep, Blasters.
Poor Bulls, they're getting no love. I mean, it's sad. The Blasters are blasting
Good
the Bulls
side.
even before the games have started, and the analysts are blasting the Bulls. So sad.
Okay. Next one is Strikers Spartans. So this is the Saturday game before we go into the Sunday with KRCC. 4-0 Strikers. What do you guys think? Obviously,
No,
Parag.
I think this
Yeah.
is 50-50
Strikers.
part. You see, Spartan play six game. They won 2. You guys play 3 games. You guys won 1. So
I know.
this
Yeah, but it all depends on who your opponent was, right?
Yeah,
correct. Striker, look at them. They're at 9th place. So
yeah.
Maulik, I know you don't respect the striker bowling. I know that. All right, I know that for a fact. I know that you have already told me, man, there is nothing in the striker bowling. So I still think that Binod Singh is still great. Is
Joe, how much Vinod thing will do? Tell me.
Well, you'll find out in the striker versus KRCC game. You're going to find out how much Binod Singh can do.
Okay. Why don't you bet why don't you put that bet on the line, man? The one I like that you have. You should talk about money and all that. I don't care about money.
Man, I know you're rolling in money, but still, you know.
No, it's not that. All right, so this game I'll go with Spartan. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah. Maulik, don't go with your gut feeling. Use your brain.
Don't worry about my brain, bro. That's why I'm sitting here right now, right?
So who do you pick? Sorry.
He's picked Spartans.
Oh,
he has no respect for strikers. He has no respect for the strikers bowling. All right. Now I hope you guys can prove him wrong that the strikers bowling is something to be feared.
Next one we have KRCC and Hitman.
Yeah. Looking at the table and the form they're in, I think Hitman should go here.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. No respect for KRCC.
Yeah, I mean they're number 2 team. They're number 2 team. And they've won more matches than
Yep. They play
I think
6,
Maulik
they
will
won
also
4, we play 4, we won 3, you know. Yes.
Yeah.
I see how math works. Perfect. Parag. Definitely I'll tell Mitchell Bhai to bring those white notes, you know, from his bathroom for you.
Okay. Well, Maulik obviously is going with KRCC. So
yeah,
not sure. He's thinking.
Of
yeah,
course,
I mean
KRCC.
this is a team which can cause upset. It is like, you know, they've been playing really well. So, all right. So interesting. So I think the next one is pretty hands down Pokeries,
Pokeries,
I
yep.
guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pokeries part
And then Canton 11 versus Micah. I think that is another one which I think we can all safely say Canton 11, right?
Yep.
You guys
Yes, sir.
agree?
Yep.
AR Phantoms versus Punjab Warriors. I think this is another lopsided. I think there are a few ones, especially in Group C.
Well,
Is
yeah, I
I
bet
think
on
Punjab Warrior
Punjab
probably.
Warriors. I saw the AR Phantom games the other day. I think I
Yeah.
support Punjab Warriors.
Okay, this is interesting. I don't want to hear your opinion. Sterling Striker versus GLCC.
GLCC for me.
Yep, GSCC.
Oh wow, okay.
Oh man, they're gonna come so stronger.
And I mean, Sterling Striker is not a bad team, so I don't think it's like, oh yeah, this is going to be a complete rollover. It's going to be
Part team is
interesting
all
game.
depend on hardball, they have a lot of
Yeah.
commitment in hardball and all that. So God knows who's gonna be playing 11 or not. But I know GSS is much disciplined team than Canton. I mean, Sterling Striker. What I seen when I was umpiring, to tell you true. And
Yeah.
I think Samish will definitely come stronger after the Gladiator loss.
Also, GLCC doesn't beat itself. They are very disciplined. So
Yeah,
that's one good thing, which you'll have to do something to beat them. They are not going to beat themselves.
Yep.
Partha, what are you looking on the phone, my friend?
I'm sorry, I've been having some fire to put out.
Oh, okay, all right.
All right. So I think we've got the predictions done. I think we'll move on to kind of showcase some of our top shooters this week. We've got a couple of ones. I think Gladiators have a few, and to be honest, Arjuna Advani, I think he stole the game in a big clash, 66 or 53, with one. Again, I get confused between this 1-4 and 7-6.
Yeah, 1-4 and 7-6.
1-4 and 7-6.
Yeah, I bet DCL the number of fours is significantly lower than the number of sixes. It's tougher to hit a 4 in DCL than
this
the ball doesn't carry.
This inning of Arjun Ajmani was gem of inning, man. Gem of inning. Some of the starting when I still scroll the videos and try to watch and learn. I'm like, how can I hit this shot? It was awesome. It was awesome.
Oh, that was a 4 which he hit, was an absolute peach of a shot. I mean, it's at the 2 hour and 5 minute mark. You got to go and see it. It's a fabulous shot.
Yep.
He saw Hardeep hitting crazily, and then he's like, damn, I can do it too. He was right after that. The sum is over.
The next one is on the bowling side. Jawad Zahir from Gladiators again. 3 overs, 1 maiden, 3 runs and 5 wickets. This was against, I think, MI Rangers in a different match. So
yeah, all five clean bowled.
Yep, all 5 clean bowled.
Wow.
Again, I think we talked about that pitch basically was a sand, and his bowling basically suited to that. So the ball just basically all was kind of low and kept, but to his credit, he kept it on the stumps. So
by the way, Viju, what ground was that?
Novi Power Park, but it's the outside ground, number 5 or number 6 or whatever it was.
Oh.
Partha keeps coming back to predictions all the time just to show that he's 66.
Okay, so I think we are to the end of the show. We want to basically again thank you guys for coming up.
So there were no other top shooters, or did Satya forget that this was a national show and it was not a Glad show, because I only saw Glad's guys there.
Yeah, I think he must have forgotten. I think generally, what he tries to do is the top batsman and the top bowler of the week.
I'm sure there are other guys who took 5 wickets.
Yeah. I think the top performer for me was Philip Thomas. So
Yes.
even though we haven't mentioned him, I think the top performer of the week goes to him. 2.2 overs, 1 run, 1 maiden, 4 wickets.
Yes.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
He's the number one. He's the number one performer for me too.
Absolutely.
I mean, he basically put the nail into the brownstone coffin. So, so that's the way I see it.
Yeah. All right. So again, thank you everyone for joining us, and wish you all the best for the weekend. I know it's going to be a packed weekend. We have a lot of games. A lot of teams are playing back-to-back games, Saturday and Sunday. So again, we are going to have a pack full of games to go over and analyze next week as well. So best of luck to everyone, and then good night and take care.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Maulik, thanks for coming on the show. Parag, thanks for coming on the show. We had a blast. I hope that you guys will put on a show for all of us. I'm looking forward to watching the Showcase Game of the Week live. I want to wish both of you the very best of luck. Go out and play in the right spirit and put on a show for us. And hopefully we can talk next week about how many sixes were hit by Mr. Maulik Patel against my fellow analyst, Mr. Parthiv Mehta. But good night.
Definitely.
And good
Good night,
stay.
See you
guys.
guys.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye.
Yep.
All right. Bye.
Good night. Bye.